My dear sweet Horties, how are we today? I hope we're doing well. It's been, it's been a hell of a week for news, has it not? Wow. What do you even say? Well, we'll get into it momentarily. We're gonna stop and say hello, catch up a little bit, see, how's the week been? I didn't see you all on Wednesday, so we'll catch up a little bit and then we'll start talking about, everything. I don't even want to tell you how many tabs I have open. I'm so ready to talk about this whole Trump thing, but, we'll get around to it. In the meantime, please hit the like button, even if you're not going to hang out and chill with us for the first, I don't know, 30, 40, 50 minutes. I don't know. We're going to chill for a little bit. But if you don't want to chill, hit the like button before you leave. Appreciate you. It's free. It's quick, it's easy, and it helps the channel. It certainly is a fuck this week. Yes, true. Okay, let me make sure I've got my chats. Hello. Yes. Hello, Gayfesh. Hello, Opsis. There's Andy's. What's up, mama? There's Viren. Oh, to envy the humble arthropod, for it knows not the horrors of the wider cosmos. Truly. The bugs get to live in a very simple world, right? Is one of those tabs the Reichstag fire? No, it's not. I keep seeing about that, and then I have not taken the time to look up what that is. I know, obviously, that it is a thing that happened in Germany, but it's been a fucking minute. It's interesting how, we definitely did cover the Holocaust in my world history class back in high school, but there's so much about it that I learned in the last 2 years. Obsis, thank you so much. Wow. Starting us off strong early today with a $20 donation saying, be safe, everyone. Also, you're gay. No, you. No, you're gay. How could you say that? So rude. Anyway, thank you. Puts us at 20 out of 100 on the donation goal today. Yes, 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 yes. Good grief. Also, hello to the YouTube chat. I don't always spend as much time looking at the YouTube chat, but I appreciate y'all. And if you're interested, this over here is my website chat, luxander.net/live. I do not stream on Twitch. But yes, there you can donate directly and YouTube doesn't take 30 to 40% of your money. There's custom emojis, definitely. And that's the primary chat that I pay attention to. So always welcome to come on over here. Hello, just came across your channel in my research of James Somerton. Ooh, do I have a... I think I got a mosquito bite in the back of my leg. But yes, the James Somerton video was a banger. It did really well. And I'm glad that y'all appreciated it. Don't know what my hair is doing today. Fool Tarot, welcome to the website chat. Yes, yes, yes. Yeah, so we okay, the Reichstag fire. I have this tab open now. Okay, yes, this is worth bringing up. When am I going to fit this in? I have my tabs organized. I'm like, okay, I'm going to talk about this, and then I'm going to talk about that, and it's like this in a certain order. And yeah, how in the holy hell did I get... I went out hunting this morning, and by hunting I mean hiking really slowly and not successfully hunting. And I put on bug spray, and I was wearing 2 layers of pants, and I still managed to get a fucking mosquito bite on the back of my leg. Like, okay. Honestly, don't remember how I found this channel. Yeah, I frequently forget how I actually discovered various YouTube channels. Okay. I feel like every time I have to shift the camera down lower. Why? Okay. Where am I going to fit the Reichstag fire in this segment? So basically we have at least 3 topics, if maybe not 4. No, it's a bite. It itches. So I have 3, perhaps 4 topics that I'm planning on covering today. Obviously, number 1 is we're going to talk about Trump's assassination attempt. Then Elliot Page is going to be in a trans-specific movie, and I'm going to watch the trailer with you all. And my main thing that I was planning on talking about before this whole Trump thing happened was that we were going to discuss some discourse about the medication PrEP that's been going around on Twitter. And then also, if we have time, which we very well might not, the UK have officially said, like, we're going to take this temporary ban on puberty blockers and make it permanent. So they're permanently banning puberty blockers over there, which would also give us an opportunity to finally talk about the rising epidemic of trans youth suicide in the UK, which we've mentioned briefly, but we haven't done a proper segment about it. So, and again, we might not have time. We might wait for that until a later date. Mosquitoes feel like an incredible argument against intelligent design. Right. Like, what purpose do they serve? They're not pollinators, you know? They don't help do anything. I'm just trying to figure out how I had, like, 2 layers of pants on and I still got a bite. It's crazy. I'm lucky enough to live in a fairly liberal state, but a Trump presidency puts even me at risk. So we can kind of talk about this at the beginning because it's not really part of the segment. But like, I don't actually know how much the federal government is going to reach into the individual states, right? Like if you live in, like if abortion is made illegal federally somehow, just for example, then yeah, I went early in the morning. It was 6 a.m. So yeah, like for example, with abortion, you know, Kansas, where I live, has a constitutional right to abortion. Like that was affirmed, and then the voters helped protect that right. You know, we have the right in our Constitution. So if the federal government makes abortion illegal, are they going to somehow impose some kind of restriction on Kansas? Like, what are they going to do? Are they going to... I think the most powerful move that they have is to deny Medicaid coverage, basically. Thank you, Charlotte. I'm glad that I put it out there. Yes, we do acknowledge that cis kids get to have puberty blockers for precocious puberty. It's only blocked for trans children. There are things that eat mosquitoes, which would survive by eating other things in their absence. Right. Yeah, like dragonflies would be able to find something else to eat if there were no mosquitoes. Jesus. What dead domain video? Did they already put out a video about the Trump thing? Qberry Shortcake says, I'd really love to hear what your thoughts are regarding states like Minnesota or Washington that have constitutional protections for trans people. Yeah, I mean, obviously I think that that's a good thing. I'm glad that those protections exist. I am not sure, like, you know, just like I was saying with the abortion topic, I don't know how it's going to work if the federal government tries to say, oh, it's illegal to cross-dress or it's illegal to provide this medical care, you know? And I will also say that it's not a guarantee of safety. And I think that's the thing that sometimes is missed in these conversations is that, yeah, you know, we have this idea of like Minnesota being one of the most based left-leaning states. you know, they have trans protections. There are a ton of immigrants who live there, but there was a murder of a trans woman in November last year in Minnesota. There was a more recent murder of a trans woman who, I don't think that this one really made it into the news very much, but one of our community members, it was one of their friends. If you've ever seen Shakespeare in the chat, it was one of their friends. And so, yeah, we have this idea that being in a liberal state is safer because the laws keep us safer, but that is not necessarily going to protect us from, like, physical harm, if that makes any sense. Okay, that might be down a little bit too far now. Okay, whatever, we're gonna leave that there. Dead Domain did just do a video, haven't watched it yet. Okay. Yeah. And I don't often watch the content of other streamers. I'm bad. I'm terrible about that. If it's for work, then I will, but it's not like for entertainment. For entertainment, this week, I decided I was going to watch The Last of Us. And I did post a video about it this week. It's a really enjoyable show. Minneapolis is really blue, but I wouldn't want to move too far away from the city. And that's also the case in Washington. People are always like, oh, Seattle is so great. Come live in Tacoma. It's so awesome. But then if you go into eastern Washington, like if you go on the other side of the mountains, guess what? You're in like redneck hillbilly town again. So thank you, Fool Tarot. Yeah. So yeah, that's the thing that I'm going to start doing on this channel too. Like, obviously we're going to keep talking about the politics and the trans related stuff and all this because it's, you know, important news. There are people who watch it's been a long time, but someone once said that I was their primary source of US news as someone who was from elsewhere. And I was like, wow, that's a lot of responsibility. Yeah. So it's important to keep talking about that stuff, but there is a decent chance that there will also be more content about other topics. Like, yeah, if we can do The Last of Us content and have it do halfway decent. That's where Dead Domain lives, over in Spokane. Literally infiltrated a Nazi church in Spokane, 4 hours from where I live. Ugh, yeah. Our mosquito. Okay, I'm not going to respond to. Okay, first of all, Yakovich, I see that you're catching up. Catch up, because I can't keep responding to comments from 5 minutes ago. Mosquitoes are pollinators. Fucking not enough to count. Not enough to count. You know what? I love wasps because they are actually useful. I don't think we would miss mosquitoes if they completely were eliminated from the ecosystem. Also, what's up, Zypation? Catching up, no worries. Excuse me. If I make you my primary source of news, can you make it so we live in a safe, happy country? If I only cover good news, does that mean that we live in a safe, happy country? Is that all it takes? I would be happy to. Ugh. I washed my hair earlier and now it's being all weird. Why are you always so weird? Anyway, so yes. If you have not hit the like button, please do that. It immediately helps the show. We are easing into it. This is the beginning of this show part where we kind of vamp about different stuff. We'll get into the meaty part of the show here shortly. I got the power. Yeah. So if I only cover good news, that means that only good things are happening. Okay, that makes sense. Well, then I will only be, from now on, covering... I will now only be covering House of the Dragon and The Last of Us and other TV shows and movies. Watch out, Gayfesh, I'm coming for you. I didn't know wasps are useful. Listen, wasps eat all kinds of bugs that you don't want to have around. Like, oh, if you're trying to grow food outdoors and you keep having grubs or beetles that are attacking your crops, guess what? Wasps. Also, wasps are pollinators. You know, they be pollinating out there, so they're very good to have. And they are not usually very aggressive. 00 is what my ears are gauged at. Need to get that podcast started. Yeah, listen. What did we talk about doing? You and I talked about doing Captain Marvel. Or no, not Captain Marvel. Jesus fucking Christ. Captain America? Those are the movies that I love. So it's going to be, wow, a crazy show. Reed in the YouTube chat asks, do you think they'll make it illegal to cross-dress? Because if they do, that'll be one of the most unconstitutional ever. That and putting 10 commandments in school. So here's the thing. I don't know what they can do as far as like everybody everywhere, but it has already been determined. I'm not sure what the Supreme Court case was, or if it even was a Supreme Court case, or if it's a lower court, but it is legal to have different dress codes for men and women. Because, like, basically, I guess, like, being equal under the law, you can, I think it was in Texas. I know, and I guess there's, like, a recent precedent from the Supreme Court regarding a trans woman and whether you can punish trans women for not dressing like men or whatever. But basically, there are some cases where it's considered legally acceptable to have slightly different rules for men and women because basically, like, equal protection under the law, there are some instances where they're like, well, there are exceptions as far as protection. That's how they justify, like, not letting people use certain bathrooms. Like that, they're basically just saying, well, equal protection doesn't apply in this case. Like, it's completely, in my opinion, stupid, which is why I'm really bad at explaining it. Also, I'm waiting for the Ritalin to kick in, so... So I don't know if they'll make it federally illegal to cross-dress, but Tennessee tried to make it illegal, basically, to be in drag in public, quote-unquote. Oh man, we are going to get to 69 likes so easily today. Let's do it. 69. And I mean, we say this about conservatives often. We say, yeah, what they want is for women to be wearing dresses and barefoot in the kitchen, and they will try to push for that. So if they could make it to where, you know, it's illegal for women to wear pants and illegal for men to wear skirts, and to them there is no such thing as trans people, so, you know, whatever. It's not like probably the highest priority for them, but it's definitely on the list. I would say, I would be pretty confidently saying that it's on the list. The worst thing about the cicadas this year, TBH, is that the cicada killers are out and about, and they're scary. Oh no. Ooh, we got to 72 likes. We just blew right past 69. Thank you all so much. We're going to get into the meat and potatoes here in a minute. 100 viewers. Thank you. We will get into it. I promise. We're talking about Trump today. We're, after that, going to talk about a movie from Elliot Page about being trans, which is cool and very exciting. And then we are going to talk about PrEP and basically, like, people being really shitty about sexual promiscuity. Anyway, those are the topics for today. By the way, if you're new to the website chat, you can go into the account settings in the top right, and you can actually set your pronouns if you want them to be visible, so that when people hover over your name in the chat, they can see your pronouns. That's another good reason to join the chat, y'all. Y'all in YouTube chat, join the website. For the past year, I've been trying to warn about this, and it feels like nobody is listening. My mom just said to me, oh, Trump disavowed Project 2025, though, and I got the urge to throw her and the other liberals out of an airlock. Right. It's like he disavowed them publicly, but he also is still working with all of the people who are involved with it. Maybe not all of the people, but he's still working with some of the high-profile individuals involved with Project 2025. So, like, it literally is classic. Oh, I disavow. I disavow. Of course, I disavow. I disavow. Can you do it on phone? Yeah, you can join the chat on phone. I don't know if it's optimized, so if you're on the phone, I don't blame you for staying on the YouTube chat. No worries. He implemented 80% of the Project 2025 policy recommendations last time. Yeah. There are like 900 pages of that. Like 900 pages of Project 2025, so... Or is it just 90 pages? Either way, it's too much for one person to really go through at one time. My grandma's a liberal and she thinks everything is going to be fine and that I'm overreacting. Yeah, I don't know what to do about convincing older people. Trump's been working with the people who came up with Project 2025 before as well. Far-right operators brought him power the first time around. Hello, Agamotto. Oh yeah, I saw that Trump is calling his thing Agenda 47. But it's basically apparently got a lot of the same contents as Project 2025. I am glad to see that Project 2025 is gaining some, mainstream clickability, because the more people who know about it, the better. Because I just feel like we've been screaming into the void about it for months, and I'm fucking over it. So, yeah, for John Oliver to cover it, and then, yeah, the Google searches for it have just, gone up quite a lot. Oh my god, I need to drink water. DJT is no Teddy Roosevelt. That guy got shot in the chest and still gave his speech. This guy got an ear piercing and left for the hospital. Well, the thing is, too, that Teddy Roosevelt lost by a landslide, even though he started up, and continued to give a speech after being shot. Like, he showed himself to be a really tough motherfucker, but that was not good enough for the America at the time. It's 45 again, not 47. What an idiot. I mean, it's like 45 part 2. I don't know. Agenda 47 as in the 47th president, I think. Or the 47th presidency? Not totally sure. 45.2, 45.5. Many older people are delusional about this because they refuse to see how much the world is going to shit, because most of them accumulated just enough wealth to be buffered. I mean, honestly, I think one of the biggest things that older people don't see is the housing crisis. Because a lot of older people own their homes. They bought their homes when they were $20,000. And I mean, I guess the ones who are on a fixed income and who are experiencing the rise in property taxes, those people might have an understanding of how screwed up everything is, but excuse me, oh my god. That's true. If Joe Biden were to kick it and Kamala became president before January, all of Trump's 47 merch will become instantly worthless. Am I correct in thinking, I've seen some screenshots that are indicating that maybe the Democratic Party itself is trying to gauge interest in Kamala, that they're basically asking about approval rates for Kamala, and the kind of implication of that is that they might be considering what it, like, if we would be successful polling her. Literally, if Biden is on the ticket, I'm voting uncommitted for president. I live in Kansas and I have the privilege to do that. I guess you could say my vote doesn't count for any Democratic president, so like I'm just going to vote uncommitted. But if Kamala was the one, I would vote for her. Like, I would for sure vote for her. We are all K-Hive now. Yeah, listen, I still think that she's fucking awful, but I have more faith in her ability to do the job. What's the take on Mamala being the candidate? Mamala? Was that an accident, or did you on purpose give Kamala like a mommy thing? At least Kamala isn't old enough to have supported segregation, you know? Do I have the privilege to not vote in Florida? Oh, okay, that's tough. Because Florida has been it's been purple before. It's like really close. So I don't know. I feel like in Florida I would say you should probably still vote for Biden. Winter V, welcome to the website. Thank you so much for joining up over here. I don't have enough hope in the Democrats to do anything smart. Fucking true. Are we talking about third parties? Nope, we are not talking about third parties. We are talking about the idea of the Democratic National Committee choosing Kamala instead of Biden to run. That's what we're talking about. Is it going to be okay? Fuck if I know, dude. Probably not. I mean, I don't know. I will say, you know, we're going to get into the topic in more detail in a minute, but I will just say off the top, like, yes, I think that this attack on Trump will galvanize his supporters, but I don't think that anyone who wasn't going to vote for him already is going to vote for him because of this. I do think that it will ramp up the intensity of the situation, but I don't think that it's necessarily going to make an impact on the election itself. It'll just make an impact on how intense the violence happens after the election. Mama who lives in Texas said, I posted a TikTok today about getting out of my red state, and then a liberal showed up in the comments with the whole, oh, the Dems could still win if we all rally behind Biden. You're being a pessimist. If only I could punch people through screens. Right. It's I don't think Texas has ever gone purple or blue, you know? It's yes, there are big liberal cities there, but I think Texas is just as gerrymandered as Kansas, you know? Like, it seems like Kansas should go purple sometimes. We have a fucking Democratic governor, but it just, with the heavy gerrymandering, I just don't think that it's gonna be able to go. It, you know, if a significant enough amount of boomers die, then sure, yeah, the demographics will shift over time to a point where gerrymandering, like, will no longer be effective, but it's going to be another 10, 20 years. You know what I found out this week is that a decent handgun costs $400, which sucks because I kind of want one. It doesn't even have anything directly to do with the politics of anything. I'm just like, I just want one, but they're expensive. probably more like 50, 60 years TBH. I mean, like, there are a bunch of septuagenarians and octogenarians who always vote Republican. Like, there's a member of my family who's like this, right? Who still votes Republican because they don't understand, like, they're not keeping up to date with what today's Republican Party is like, you know? Like, this is a family member who's like, I vote Republican because I want to keep my rifles. And it's like, girl, the Democrats are not trying to take away your guns. Not some fucking old guy who's just got like antique rifles. Like, nobody gives a shit about your guns. But there are a lot of old, very out of touch people who are still voting every year. And frankly, I think that those types of people are like some of the biggest problem in the country. And then of course you've got like 50, 60-year-olds who are actually like extremists, effectively. Exactly, Winter V. Yeah, totally. We're going to stay in an unsafe place so that we can vote for Biden at 10-1 odds. There's gnats in my apartment because I have plants. I've been slimming down my plants. Listen, girl, I'm preparing to move to fucking the Pacific Northwest because I live in Kansas and I don't have the right to use public restrooms anymore. And also, we don't have the right to vote. If you missed that one, hi, there's 105 people in here. Did you know that Supreme Court of Kansas just determined, like, 2 weeks ago that there is no constitutionally protected right to vote in my state of Kansas? Like, so any barriers, whether it's legislative or outside the legislative body, like if they start closing polling places, or if they increase the voter ID laws, which we already have to have an ID to vote, to be clear, or if they remove mail-in voting entirely, or if they remove early voting entirely, all of that is legal because we do not have a fundamental right to vote. And if you thought that that was a federally protected right, you're fucking wrong, because there's also no federally protected right to vote. Like, yeah. So we're trying to move to some place where we will have the right to vote. Wouldn't that be lovely? Wouldn't it be nice? Crazy. Okay. It's weird that the reaction to that info is anything other than, well, we should make it a constitutional right. Yeah. I mean, that is ostensibly what should happen. You know, that, like, you know, in Kansas, for example, we should get a ballot measure and put it to the vote and vote to change the Constitution to enshrine the right to vote, you know? But even if we tried to rush that, I think the earliest we would be able to vote on it would be May next year. Because it just takes a while for these, you know, we got to finalize the exact wording and all this, you know. I think it would be at least, like, you know, at the earliest sometime next year, well after this election. You think the Civil Rights Amendment would protect that? Yeah, it doesn't, though. Like, what, should has left the chat. Yeah, true. Post-war Reconstruction amendments to the Constitution extended civil and legal protections to all black persons, including former slaves, and voting rights to black men. Let's see. The 15th Amendment prohibited states from disenfranchising voters on account of race, color, or previous condition of servitude. The amendment left open the possibility, however, that states could institute qualifications for voting. So, although such requirements ostensibly were applied equally to all races, some states, including those formerly belonging to the Confederacy, would institute poll taxes, literacy tests, or grandfather clauses, which disproportionately discriminated against African Americans. So, basically there's an amendment that says you can't restrict the right to vote based on race, but it's completely open to create other impositions. And like, if you really want to think about it, you know, requiring that you pay $30 for an ID in order to vote, that's a type of poll tax. And that's pretty much universal everywhere. Yeah, the right to vote. What's up, Wellington? The right to vote extended to white men who owned land. That is the original position. And then, yeah, they've had to gradually expand it to go like, oh, okay, I guess if you don't own land, but you're a white man, you can still vote. Or like, oh, okay, I guess eventually white women can vote. You know? Like, that's one of the issues that a lot of people have with when we celebrate women earning the right to vote. Like, well, it was only white women. Black women didn't have the right to vote for another, like, 40 years? Yeah, we don't restrict it on race. We restrict it on income. Random thought. Can you vote if you're a felon? It depends on your jurisdiction. There are states like Florida, which you cannot vote as a felon unless you are granted the ability to do so by a committee. You have to petition the committee to allow you to. There are other states where your right to vote is reinstated as soon as you serve your sentence. But I think for the most part, you can't vote as a felon while you're in prison. I would have to double check that, but it literally depends on your jurisdiction. Can Trump vote this year legally? I don't know. Where does he live? Like, it depends on where you live. He's not in prison. He is a convicted felon, but it depends on, like, what the rules are wherever he is registered to vote. So if he's registered to vote in Florida, that's like where Mar-a-Lago is. I don't know. He could use any one of several addresses, probably. Then yeah, maybe he would have to be verified by a certain... In Florida, they defer to the franchise requirements where your felony was given. So because it's in New York, he would be governed by the rules of New York. Okay, cool. Good to know. The US doesn't actually have universal suffrage. Yeah, basically not. He changed his primary residence to Mar-a-Lago. I don't know, maybe if Ron DeSantis really wants to stick it to Trump for his rude comments, maybe he'll persuade the committee to not reinstate his right to vote. But if, like what Absis was saying, if they defer to the franchise requirements where the felony was given, then it would be based on New York. And I don't think that New York State has as strict of rules as Florida. I wish everyone, even people in prison, could vote. I genuinely feel that any rehabilitation process would be improved by encouraging civic engagement. I don't disagree with that. You know, if we encouraged people to care about what is going to happen outside of the prison that they're stuck in, like, yeah, you might be stuck in there right now, but you'll come out eventually later, so why don't you go ahead and vote? In New York, felons can only not vote while incarcerated. Okay. So because he is not incarcerated, he can vote. What the interesting thing is that, like, I do think it's an interesting point that people say you have to, like, you can't serve in the military if you have a felony. So wouldn't it be funny if they were like, he can't be commander-in-chief because that's a military position? Good grief. So yeah, it's a cluster. I think the answer is, even if the rules technically say he shouldn't vote or he shouldn't serve as a member of the military, like, I mean, they're gonna let him do it anyway. That's the problem. Drink water, everybody. Hail, hydrate. Listen, the world is ending, but we can still take care of ourselves, right? That's the most important thing. You have nothing if you don't have your health. Yeah, exactly. All the rules will be suspended for him. We're so close to 100 likes. If you haven't hit the like button, would you please consider doing so? For my cute little face? And we will start the segment properly here in a minute. Yeah, I know. Like, on technicality, I don't think Commander-in-Chief is officially a military position, but obviously has authority over the military. So, like, it would be funny if that was a thing that barred him. Excuse me. I've got 3 different cups with 3 different drinks. I'm cosplaying bisexual, or I'm neurodivergent. IDK the stereotype. I think having 3 different drinks is a neurodivergent stereotype. You have the 1 drink for caffeine, 1 drink for hydration, and 1 drink for just pure enjoyment, right? That's how it works. Zypation says, I was in the ceremonial guard in the Navy. POTUS is the only civilian you're allowed to salute. Cannot imagine saluting him. I may have been kicked out. He still counts as a civilian. Okay. Frustration. I do kind of wish that I had made more coffee before stream today, but oh well. Ooh, it's sitting at 99 likes to me. It might update in a second, but oh, unless the president is a veteran, then they are considered a civilian. Okay, cool. I've got water, monster, and coffee. Uh-oh. Is there anything else we should cover before we get into this segment? I'm procrastinating. Excuse me. I'm thinking about getting a bow now. I don't want to go into Bass Pro, though. Bass Pro shop only has fucking compound bows. So if you want a compound bow, sure, go there. But you might need to find a more specialized archery place if you want to get a real bow. Yes, I'm sorry, everybody. There are going to be ads occasionally on the content. That is how I make money. Can we not? We all know how fucked it is. Let's just pretend we did. Listen, I promise you, we're gonna do the political analysis. We're gonna talk about the serious stuff, but then we're doing memes. Okay? We're gonna do memes about this Trump assassination attempt, okay? I promise you. You just have to get through the difficult part. You'll just have to just grind your teeth and get through it. Corvo, there might be places like archery ranges for you to go shoot. I know, I claim to be a socialist and yet I use money. I know, so disappointing. We've successfully passed 100 likes. I'm working toward getting $100 in donations for today's stream. Appreciate you. It's okay if you don't send me $5, but it would be appreciated. We will start the serious commentary in a bit, so maybe I'll actually earn it when we get into the serious commentary. I want to say really quick that I already said it in my video about it this week, but I loved the representation of the commune in The Last of Us, the TV show. There's like a commune. They set up the electricity for like from a nearby dam, and they share everything, and I thought it was really fascinating. Like, just a really cool look. And it's only like a community of 300 people, so maybe it would be harder to do at a broader scale, but thought it was great. What does your family think of you streaming for a living? I don't think that they have any opinion. I mean, it's a job. I am self-employed. Feels pretty good. I don't make as much money as I could doing something else probably, but I also don't have the physical stamina to do a lot of other things. So yeah, it's kind of good that sometimes I can just crash and not do anything because I have health issues. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Joel is like, so it's communism. And then Tommy's like, nah, I didn't like that. And then the lady Maria, she's like, no, it's a commune. We are on a commune. It literally is communism. And then Tommy like has to pause and rethink his entire life. This is a society that stopped completely in 2003. Communism is a dirty word to them. Communism is still a dirty word to most people. We are leftists and we're in a very particular community where we understand communism to be a good thing, but yeah, most people don't. He was like, oh yeah, that makes so much more sense. That whole part of the show literally made my brother a communist. Oh yeah, that's so cool. That's neat. Yeah, what a great example. They're like, look, we're raising all these sheep together. You can take a horse whenever you need one. We have community events. I don't want to go into a whole thing because I already talked about it in the video this week, but like the contrast between the life on the commune versus the life in the QZs. Just like the fact that the only real entertainment we see in the QZ is people drinking alcohol and people watching a public execution, versus in the commune, they have the movie theater, they have a big Christmas tree, they sing together. Like there's a sense of community, and like there's no violence, they never have to use the jail, versus in the QZ, they have like conflict between people. People are having to screw each other over in order to make money. Like, yeah, it was pretty cool. Like the comparison between those two things. Major figures in our society talk about communism as something that will take everything from you and cause millions of deaths. Right, yeah. And I'm personally of the opinion that basically every QZ is quarantine zone. Sorry, I'm talking about the show The Last of Us. Quarantine zone is like these military dictatorship camps, basically, that are set up to keep the infected out. But it's basically like still capitalistic. You have to do labor in order to earn money, or cards is what it's called, and then you buy that, or you use that to buy services. But it's like crazy how you'll be doing essential labor, like mucking out the sewer and other like essential services, but you do not make enough money to be able to live well without like resorting to like drug selling and smuggling and other shit like that. Don't tell me anything about season 2. Don't want to hear it. Biden about to speak again. I will update if there's big news. Thank you, Obsis. Yeah, so one of the things that we are going to talk about is Biden's response, at least online so far. So if he does say something, that might be worth including in the segment. The Red Scare propaganda was super strong. People like my parents have no idea about actual communism. It's all just a bogeyman. Right. Yes. They posted guards on the sewer muckers too. I know. Yeah, like imagine if it's your job to like supervise as a military agent with a gun, supervise the people who are shoveling shit. Like super weird. People aren't able to imagine a different world. All there is now is all they know. We lost the ability to dream a better world. Right. I've heard people say that that's one of the things that they really like about Andrewism. Is that the YouTube channel? Who talks about like a potential anarchistic future. Season 2 came out. Season 2 is not out yet, but the second game might spoil the second season of the show. So, yeah. It's funny, though, how I was like, oh, I'm going to check out of my brain and just watch this zombie show. Saint Andrewism, thank you. And then I end up still thinking about capitalism versus communism and the, like how fascism rises and how governments can use emergencies to overreach their authority and claim additional power. Oh, that's cool, Corpse Candy. Thank you for sharing that with her. Yeah, highly recommend The Last of Us if you have access to HBO. It's good shit. Help, boobies too big to eat cereal. Oh no. I can't say that's a problem that I would like to have. I have a hot take. Telltale's The Walking Dead game walked so that The Last of Us could run. Telltale games, aren't those the ones that are really heavily dialogue focused? What's up, Neurotic Canary? Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm stalling. I don't want to talk about the serious topic. I just want to talk about good TV shows that I like a lot. That's what I would like to do with my time. Talk about TV shows. Yes, you have to see The Last of Us. I recommend it highly. Glad you all enjoyed the It's video. I'm on the Transatlantic Call-In Show on the line. If anybody didn't know, it's a call-in show. They do a bunch of other call-in shows on the line. Most of them are more heavily atheist-focused. The Transatlantic Call-In Show comes from the atheist perspective, but it is... Obviously, it's trans-oriented. You know, we want people to call in and ask questions about trans stuff specifically. We do sometimes talk to people who deeply disagree with us. Those are my favorite calls. are the ones where like we get to have like a really good disagreement with folks. But there are also lots of allies and people who agree with us, and um, it's kind of the closest I get to a more mainstream audience where people are really, they feel very confronted by the idea of it's pronouns. So I made that video partially just because I wanted there to be a recent video for people to refer back to if they want to check it out. Yes, there was an it's video 2 years ago, maybe 3, I don't know, 2-3 years ago, but people don't always go back and watch old content. So yeah, I was like, okay, cool. The next time I'm on the Transatlantic Call-In show, which is Thursdays at 2 p.m. Central, by the way, if you're ever interested in calling in. Someone was being annoying in the YouTube chat. Are they gone? I decided to just let that fizzle out or see how it went. Side note, but as a small recommendation, when I was setting my pronouns, I didn't have options for she/it. Had to pick second best. Yeah, I don't have any control over that. I wish people would stop calling in asking about the sports issue, though. It's so grating at this point. Yeah. Yeah. I like talking about that because I am really, really good at making my arguments now. I've gotten really good at it. Having you on the line more frequently has been fantastic. Yeah, and I am going to be on this week. So this week, we're going to have videos uploaded on the channel probably every day this week, as per usual. Always appreciate you guys sharing those, commenting on them. And then Wednesday, we're going to be streaming. And then Thursday, I'm going to be on the Transatlantic Call-In show. And then, of course, Sunday next week, we're going to stream again. So that's kind of the plan for this week. I did wonder if it was Joanne, perhaps. But ignoring them made them go away, it looks like. So that was a success. I can go to the YouTube chat and being annoying if you miss it. No, it's good. Don't worry about it. Happy Cake Day, Nuvenal. Yes, Peppa was being kind of repetitive and annoying, and I just ignored them, and then they went away. You're a bird because it's Cake Day. Joanne was somebody who called in a while ago, or not called in, but was in the chat a while ago and who was aggressively irritating. I can't even remember what her issue was. I tend to forget these people. The next time there's an annoying person who wants to argue with me in the chat, I'm going to make them call in the Discord. It's like, listen, bitch, we're making content out of this if you're going to be fucking annoying. Hello, kitty. Been here the whole time, but now I'm parked. Had to pick up 2 teenagers in Portland and have been driving for around 5.5 hours today. Ooh. Well, good luck. Hopefully that's not too bad. I love a good road trip, but man, it can get tiring after a while. I'm sure you can, Gayfesh. I'm sure you can. Let's be annoying together on that podcast you need to start. Oh, geez. 120 viewers, 120 likes. $20 in donations for today so far. Appreciate y'all. Okay, we're going to start talking about the Trump thing here because I have no idea how long this segment is going to take. There are several angles that I want to discuss this from, so we might as well get into the meat and potatoes here momentarily. I think the Ritalin has kicked in, so... Katie, is it okay if I message you, if I like DM you sometime of like questions about moving up there? Like if I want help planning my driving route and things like that, because can we hit 666 likes? Listen, you're getting a little ahead of yourself. The next goal is 420, right? But the channel is probably going to take a little while to get there. But yeah, let's keep things realistic, all right? Oh, Lady Merlin, thank you so much. It's going to take a minute for that to pop up on the screen, but it will pop up on the screen. But thank you so much for the 1999 super chat. Your channel has been good practice for rewiring my brain to not negatively perceive others using its pronouns in conversation. Slowly associating using its for your channel while associating them with you helps. Hey, listen. I'm so glad to hear it. Thank you so much. I appreciate that super chat. Thank you. And I appreciate you, you know, taking the time to learn and acclimate yourself to people's pronouns. It's always good. BRB gonna make 500 alt emails. Listen, I cannot confirm or deny. I cannot encourage that. Let me add that to the donation goal for today. Look at that. $40 in donations for today. I am gonna start the GoFundMe later this week, I think. So, it's gonna cost thousands and thousands of dollars to move across the country. And I'm gonna crowdfund a little bit specifically for that. So, but I'm gonna start it like next week. Kazama Jack says, my intro to its pronouns was from Doe, which I'm sure is how most people were exposed. Listen, I love Doe. Truly. I've never talked to it, but I love Doe. Massive respect. Huge amounts of respect for Doe. I would love to meet it at some point. I'm going to be living kind of close to there, and I might try to, like, get lunch with Demon Mama sometime. And obviously, like, Doe is Demon Mama's partner, so it would be cool to see those people. Do you think it's safe for me to drive from Florida to Pennsylvania in 6 months? Probably. Luxander, what would be better? Super chat a bunch or GoFundMe? GoFundMe is better because it is very clearly... So if you all are curious, super chats, yes, I would love to meet, with Gayfesh. I need to meet Silent. Like, there's so many people up there that I need to meet and hang out with. So super chats, YouTube takes 30% of your money, or sometimes up to 40% of your money. And it also doesn't come through for me until next month in at like the end of the month, basically. Like, it gets added to my ad revenue for this month, and it doesn't pay out until the 21st of next month. So, donations directly through the website are awesome. But GoFundMe is like, there's no gray area around it being like a gift, which means it's non-taxable. So when the GoFundMe runs, that's going to be like the best form of support. Yeah, I appreciate it, Zypation, for sure. Yeah, I don't want to get too off on it because I'm ready to start settling into the topic now. But I've been posting on Twitter more recently because I'm like, wouldn't it be great if I actually got some traction on my posts over here? That would be cool. But you know, they suppress links, which is always obnoxious. The race is on. I'll probably publish the GoFundMe like right before I start stream so that I can just immediately direct traffic over to it. That'll be good. Okay, let's strap in. Ready? Wow, everybody. this was not how I planned on my weekend going. I don't think anybody planned on their weekend going this way. If you haven't heard by now, wow, I'm shocked and surprised. I'm probably not the first person bringing this news to you. There was an assassination attempt on Trump this weekend. He was at his rally and giving a talk about, I don't actually know what. I haven't really tuned into that. It's kind of inconsequential. I don't care what he was talking about, but that is a fact of a thing that happened. And so today we are going to discuss. We're going to talk about what happened. We're going to talk about the shooter. We're going to talk about the various reactions from conservatives, from liberals. We're going to discuss Biden's reaction. And we are going to talk about the memes. Thank you so much for the $5 dono. Tinty7621 says, thanks for your YouTube content. Thank you. I appreciate you. I'll add that to the stream total before I get too far into this. Woo-hoo. Success. Appreciate you all. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Yeah, anytime I donate, remember it's always technically from Zypation because she's the breadwinner and the stay-at-home mom. True. Zypation is the true winner. Okay, so just stick through it, okay? If you're like, wow, this is a serious topic and I can't deal with it, just skip to the memes. Or just, hold it down. We'll make it. We're gonna do the memes at the end, okay? It's gonna be fun. Whew, so what happened, okay? There was this rally, right? Hold on. So there was a rally, okay? I am going to turn the sound off on this because I don't care about the sound. There's not really much you can see here. So there was I think there were a total of like 8 to 10 shots fired, okay? So you could see Trump winced because his ear was grazed. There is much to be said about making a move like this and missing that hard. There's like lots of different commentary on this. Some people actually believe that this is a conspiracy, like that this was done intentionally. You would have to have insanely good aim to graze someone. And in my opinion, you have to have really bad aim in order to miss, because this person was fairly close to the stage. Now, I will say that some people in the crowd were struck. There is commentary here from Chad Program, who says, from Representative Dan Moser, who was in the front row at the rally near Trump, along with Rep. Mike Kelly and Pennsylvania GOP Senate candidate David McCormick. Miser says that he heard 8 to 10 shots. It appears multiple people in the crowd may have been hit and were down. Says that it sounded like a .22 or small caliber weapon. So I think that now we're seeing that maybe one person actually was fatally wounded. Haven't looked into that specifically. It's a very actively evolving situation. So we're going to see new information coming out over the course of the week, okay? It happened yesterday. Today's Sunday. Hi, we're recording this on Sunday. This is a very, very newly developed situation, okay? So let's talk about who this was, because I think that that's one of the first things that people are going to be wondering is like, okay, who was this? Was it a leftist? Was it, somebody with a history of domestic violence? What are the details that we know about the person who did this? Well, right now I have a photo. This is before the person had their face rearranged. This is the guy. I don't know the name yet, but this is the person. He is wearing a shirt of a popular gun channel on YouTube. Not one that is particularly... Oh my God, I'm sorry. This one is not particularly aggressively right wing. Obviously, just like most conservatives, or sorry, most gun channels are run by conservative people. So, clearly, I'm trying to start like a hunting, fishing channel that talks about weapons and stuff, and I'm coming at it from the leftist perspective, but most of them are not. So this channel is conservative, but it is not more aggressively conservative than many other channels, right? It's called Demolition Ranch. That's the name of the channel. And this person says that it's a completely regular, very popular, but mostly uncontroversial gun tuber. So this person was 20 years old, so a very young person. The information that Sockdon Left has right here shows the timeline of this shooter's politics. So allegedly, in January 2021, when this person was 17 years old, he donated to a progressive PAC. Some people are saying that that is not the case, but we have screenshots here. So October 21, at age 18, this person registered as a Republican. Then in November 22, voted as a Republican. And then this year, July 24, made this attempt while wearing a right-wing gun YouTuber's t-shirt. So, this is kind of combating the accusations. I mean, there are people who are saying all kinds of crazy stuff. There are people who are saying, oh, the shooter was trans, oh, the shooter was radical Antifa, this is not the case, at least not from the evidence that's presently available. So yes, this person confirms that, okay, so Thomas Matthew Crooks was the name, voting in Bethel Park, Pennsylvania as a Republican, registered Republican. So that's the information that we have about the shooter. It seems like when he was much younger, and I mean much younger, like 3 years ago, he might have considered himself kind of progressive, but he very clearly, I mean, you would have to be pretty committed to the bit to have registered as a Republican and voted as a Republican during the presidential election, Okay, so now we're seeing actually evidence that the Act Blue donation, so the progressive donation, was from a different Thomas Brooks. Or sorry, Thomas Crooks. I can't read. So the Thomas Crooks who donated to Act Blue is a 69-year-old Democrat living in Pittsburgh, just happens to have the same name as the Republican who made an attempt on Trump's life. I will be clear, this 20-year-old is no longer with us. His face has been rearranged, and he is no longer walking among us. So, that is a thing. Frankly, I would not blame any leftist. Or hold on, no, hold on. Sorry, I was reading a different chat there. To be honest, who he was won't matter. Everyone will spin this the way they want to. Yeah, I don't know how much any of this matters, right? I don't know how much any of this is going to matter to the election or to the propaganda that's going to be built up around this. Because here's one of the main concerns following this event. The main concern is that this is going to be propagandized and it's going to galvanize Trump's support. It might get people interested in the election who were otherwise not going to be interested. It could mean that there is going to be violence following the election, kind of no matter which way it goes. I mean, my personal opinion as like a political analyst who's been really closely following this stuff for the last several years, after January 6th, I think if Trump wins, there's going to be more political violence in this country. If Biden wins, I think that there will be more political violence in this country. And we're going to come back to the topic of political violence later. But for now, I'll just say, I think no matter what happens after this election, things are going to be materially less safe in many parts of this country. So, the reason why we are worried about what this is going to do to the election results is like, this is one of the most prominent images coming out of this. Like, Trump looks like a badass. Trump looks like a winner. And he's going to spin this to his advantage to the extent that it's possible for him to do that. Now, I don't know if anybody is going to vote for him who wasn't already going to vote for him. I don't know if this is going to change anyone's mind. Like, that's one of the scary things about this election is I feel like it's really hard to guess what is going to happen. Like, I think it's really hard to guess who's going to win. Or like, every time we have a new issue coming before the Supreme Court, I feel like it's impossible to guess. Because like, okay, they did rule in favor of trans people a couple years ago, but now are they going to rule in favor of trans people when, you know, this issue of healthcare gets raised and we're expecting them to rule on that in June or July next year, you know? There's a bunch of commentary saying the LGBT did this to Trump, so we have concern that the queer and people of color in this country will be the primary targets of violence. Right. That's the scariest thing about people saying the shooter was trans, the shooter was trans. And there are people saying it. I don't know if they're very high profile people, but I have seen tweets and we will look at that later on. You know, we might scroll through and just see what's the general flavor of the most recent comments about this issue. Trump is a master at the media narrative. He played this perfectly. You cannot buy propaganda this good. Right, because this is the reaction that we're having from the Republicans, right? We have Marjorie Taylor Greene going, someone just tried to assassinate President Trump. The Democrats and the media are to blame for every drop of blood spilled today. For years and years, they've demonized him and his supporters. Today, someone finally tried to take out the leader of our America First and the greatest president of all time. You know, I don't know that she probably posted that before it became very, very, very clear that this was a Republican voter. But, like, this is the response that we're seeing from Republicans. They are definitely going to try to use this to galvanize their base. And not only to galvanize their base, but to justify violence and violent rhetoric toward minorities, really. I mean, anyone who is left-leaning, but especially the minority du jour, which is trans people. Melanie Mack tweeted something about taking bets on whether the shooter is a T-slur. I don't know who that is. I'm assuming that's someone who matters. There are too many names for me to remember all of them. There is also a particular response that I'm seeing from liberal politicians that I find a little bit frustrating. And this is where we're going to make our little detour to discussing the concept of political violence. Because, and this is not the only post I've seen like this. This is just the first one I saw, so it's the one I added to my notes. But Maxwell Frost, who is a representative from Florida, I believe, says, terrifying to see the videos and images coming out of former President Trump's rally this afternoon. I'm praying for the safety of every single person. Political violence is disgusting and should be fiercely condemned. So the issue that I have with this is that we experience political violence every day in this country. And I wonder, like, it bugs me that liberals are like, oh, we have to condemn political violence. We have to make sure that political violence stops happening. And I'm just like, okay, so do y'all think that when homeless people die, that's not political violence? What about when a diabetic person who can't afford insulin and doesn't have universal health care dies from diabetes, like, do you think that that is not a political violence? Like, that's not a death from political violence? Or what about like kids going hungry at school, or like kids, becoming emaciated from lack of access to resources, like I think that those types of violence, and I'm stating outright that those are types of violence, just because it's not one person striking another person doesn't mean that that isn't like the violence that is inherent to our current political system. And they have political causes. If you refuse to raise the minimum wage, or if you refuse to provide universal health care, or if you refuse to provide universal housing or universal basic income, if you continue to defund homeless shelters or move them to where like they're nowhere near a bus stop, deaths that happen as a result of that, or even harm that happens as a result of that, that's political violence. Yeah, exactly. Political violence is when someone does physical violence to a politician. Everything else, just don't worry about it. Just don't worry about it. Just don't worry about it. Oh, it's also fun how, like, finally the conservatives believe in stochastic terrorism now. Like, stochastic terrorism, if you don't know, is this concept that, the media can fuel a narrative that then causes individuals to do terroristic actions. And we've been talking about this for forever on my channel because there are, preachers who are talking about the queers and how, every time there's speculation that, oh, this shooter was trans, that is directing basically violent intentions toward trans people, because you're seeding in people's minds. Or every time they call us groomers, every time you're accusing trans people of trying to come after your children, you are portraying trans people as an aggressor that it is acceptable to do violence toward, because of course there's nothing worse than harming children in our society. So yeah, stochastic terrorism is this idea that you can indirectly cause violence. And this is the thing that I think a lot of people miss about the concept of genocide. People will scoff at the idea that trans people are the subject of a genocide right now because the government is not literally rounding us up and putting us in camps yet. But like, politicians and the media are fueling these kinds of conversations around us, and then subsequently that creates justification to the average person or maybe not the average person, but certain individuals in society, citizens, civilians, who then choose to do violence on our community, like the Pulse shooting or the Club Q shooting or Next Benedict or Cobalt Sovereign, two teenagers who were attacked in a school bathroom, using the bathroom that conservatives think they should be using, by the way. Yeah, so it's funny now, I guess, in a morbid kind of way, that now the conservatives are going like, oh, the Democrats and the media fueled this narrative against Trump and they demonized him, and so they're responsible for this act, even though this was a Republican. Right? So yeah, whatever. I find these conversations kind of frustrating. Obviously, like, as a person who is part of the scapegoat group, who every time libs of TikTok posts about this, oh, a school teacher is talking to the kids about the existence of trans people, or, oh, this hospital is providing care for trans youth, and then, there are bomb threats, or that teacher loses their job or has to shut down their TikTok because of all the death threats, suddenly we understand stochastic terrorism. Suddenly we understand that you can inspire like violent acts. What was it? The Sturmabteilung in Germany, like, that was a civilian militia that carried out a lot of violence in the preamble, like before, I think it was before the camps really started in Nazi Germany. So yeah, fun. Citizen militias. like the Proud Boys or Patriot Front, can be a wing of a fascist takeover. It's unofficial. The politicians who agree with them will publicly say they disavow, like Trump publicly said he disavows Project 2025, and people used to say they disavowed the Ku Klux Klan. That doesn't stop them from actually supporting them. It's just covert. Anyway, political violence, always fun. So let's talk about Biden a little bit here. Speaking of reactions, talking about the various reactions to this. Biden's first reaction. This is kind of funny. So President Biden first heard the news of the Trump shooting when walking out of church in Delaware on vacation. When he was asked if he heard what happened, according to the Washington Post, he said no and returned to his residence. It just said flat no and walked away. Hilarious. After being fully briefed, the president posted then this, saying, "I have been briefed on the shooting at Donald Trump's rally in Pennsylvania. I'm grateful to hear that he's safe and doing well. I'm praying for him and his family and for all those who were at the rally as we await further information. Jill and I are grateful to the Secret Service for getting him to safety. There's no place for this kind of violence in America. We must unite as one nation to condemn it." Now, I will say, I guess before we continue on that, is there is some question as to, like, was this sort of a failure of the Secret Service? Yeah, thanks. Like, the shooter got really close to the stage, and some people are saying the snipers on the roof who were supposed to be protecting him didn't act quickly enough. Although I have seen some people say it because they were initially pointed further away, like they didn't expect this guy to be so close to the stage. I think that that's a little bit conspiracy. You know, I don't know if it was that the Secret Service deliberately didn't do a good job of protecting Trump, but rather that maybe this was just unexpected. It's been, when was the last time a president or a presidential nominee was assassinated? Like, I feel like it was a while ago. Big ups to Al Jazeera for answering this question for me. I think that the most recent attempt. So I guess allegedly there was a grenade thrown toward George W. Bush in 2005. I don't know if I would consider that as an actual attempt, really. But I guess the most recent real attempt, in my opinion, would have been Ronald Reagan in 1981 being shot after he delivered a speech in Washington, D.C. So it's been, God, 45 years almost 45 years since there was a real assassination attempt. No, we are not counting the sandal toss, okay? Not counting the shoe. Yeah, Reagan would have been the solid attempt most recently. Interesting. Statistically speaking, 8.7% of U.S. presidents have been killed on the job. Wow. It's a dangerous job, huh? Okay, so that answers my question as to when was the most recent attempt. Yeah, I don't know. I guess this response, yeah, is pretty politically correct. I agree that this is a very curated response just to say, you know, there's no place for this kind of violence in America and we must unite as one nation to condemn it. I don't know who you're trying to attempt to, like, I don't know who you're trying to, like, appeal to with that. It just seems like a stock, that's kind of what you have to say. Oh, it's the first attempt on an ex-POTUS. Oh. We're living through unprecedented times. Fun, fun, fun. So the response to Biden has been to point out that earlier in the week, or rather, no, this was from yesterday. I don't know when the actual post was, or even if this tweet is real. I don't know. People are saying that Joe Biden tweeted, "I have one job and that's to beat Donald Trump. I'm absolutely certain I'm the best person to be able to do that. So we're done talking about the debate. It's time to put Trump in a bullseye." And by that, he probably just means stop talking about my shitty performance in the debate and let's start focusing on how awful Trump is. And like, I don't disagree on some level that like we should be focusing on how Trump is terrible. But the reason why we're talking about how badly Biden did is because he's the guy that's supposed to fucking beat Trump. He's the guy that's supposed to run the country. And like a lot of people, myself included, do not have faith that he is going to be able to do the job. And there is a lot of contention around his handling of Gaza and Palestine. That he keeps going, "Ooh, I don't like what you're doing, Netanyahu," and then just kind of giving them another $1 billion worth of military equipment. So it's hard to have faith in the guy. Watching him flub his words. I saw a video this week of him. He was introducing the president of Ukraine, Zelensky, but he introduced him as President Putin, and then he caught himself and corrected himself. But like, bro, you remember how there was a guy who was basically publicly pilloried and vilified and did not win the presidency because he misspelled the word potato? The name is eluding me. I'm sure someone will say it, but like, Jesus Christ. Remember when being mentally all together with it was like one of the requirements for being president of this country? Yeah, honestly, in this statement, Biden is giving more empathy to Trump than any Palestinian, and that's really, really frustrating. Yeah, let me see if I can find this video for you. Oop, doop, doop, doop. Scroll, scroll, scroll. Okay, here's this for you.
Loudly and clearly. And now I want to hand it over to the president of Ukraine, who has as much courage as he has determination. Ladies and gentlemen, President Putin. President Putin. He's going to beat President Putin. President Zelensky. I'm so focused on beating Putin.
Okay, so
loudly and clearly.
Making gaffes like that in public. Potato was Dan Quayle. Yeah, okay, thank you. Yeah, never thought someone would mention Dan Quayle in 2024. Listen, it's because remember when there were actual standards? Like, remember when you had to actually be mentally all together in order to... Anyway, so yes, that's Biden's initial response. And like, this is like, yeah, conspiracy theory. People are asking like, oh my God, did Biden actually order this attempt? Did Biden actually... Yeah, no shit, that's a bad slip up. That is not a good time to make a slip up like that. Imagine if you hadn't caught it, right? That would be crazy. So... Okay, we are so far from done with the segment, but I need to run to the bathroom because I have drank a ton of water. So we're going to continue with the segment in a moment. I'm going to be gone for about 3 minutes. I'm going to give you back to the bugs, but we're not done. Okay? Don't go anywhere. Promise. Jump scare. Okay, I'm back. Oh, okay. So yeah, obviously conspiracy, people are thinking, okay, maybe Biden did this, whatever. Amusingly, it would maybe technically be legally okay if Biden had done it. um, because there was that Supreme Court thing recently, right? Like the Supreme Court ruled that when a president does an official act, that makes it okay for him to do things that are otherwise illegal. That's why Trump is not in trouble for like supporting the whole thing on January 6th. So there's a lot of responses that are like this. Did you order it? It's literally okay if you did, apparently. Not sure if you heard the news, but you're allowed to do that now, by the way. And, you know, that was one of the first responses that people had to the Supreme Court was going, okay, well, Biden could order it. He could order this. And if it's part of the official whatever, then, you know, yeah. Okay, let me do something real quick. Hold on. Hello, Spitfire. Welcome to the website. I'm not exactly sure how he would justify it as an official act, but, you know, it's definitely something he could make up an excuse. Okay. Although I will say, I think that people are assuming that there's like carte blanche permission, but I think the Supreme Court did actually say it's up to our discretion whether an official act is legally permissible. So the thing about this is it's always this weird double standard where it's okay for Trump to do things and it's not okay for Biden to do things. If they did the literal same act, this Supreme Court would find that Trump was okay to do it and Biden wasn't okay to do it. Biden's always been a gaffe machine, but the grace he used to get for it is gone now that he's so old. Yeah, it comes across really differently now. And maybe that's not fair, but stop being fucking 80 years old trying to run the country. We don't want you. We don't want someone that old to be running the country. And yeah, that is fundamentally ageist, I guess. But I think there is merit to the argument that, you know, if you're not going to be here in 20 years or in 50 years, why are you making decisions that are going to have ramifications for 20 and 50 years? Yes, they just want to retain the power to say what's okay or not. It's all up to them. They want full judicial discretion. Fully. Okay, what is next? Okay, so now we're going to do memes. Because I've already kind of made a lot of the major points that I wanted to make. That, you know, we can, you know, all these liberals coming out to condemn political violence when there's an assassination attempt. And it's not ageist to say you literally are incapable of doing this job. Right. I guess if you say because you're old, you know, that on its own is not enough justification. Or like because you're mentally checked out, you know, people consider that to be ableist, or at least I say people, I mean like some particular corners of leftist discourse consider, you know, referring to him as mentally not all there as like ableist. Like, okay, I think that there are some instances where your disability precludes you from being able to do a good job. If you have dementia, I'm so sorry. It's not your fault. It's a horrendous disease, but you should not be the president. If you're having strokes in the middle of public discourse, like, I'm sorry, you like your disability, your health precludes you from doing a good job. That was a shot at McConnell, by the way. I'll be ageist and say that 80-year-olds should be barred from the presidency. Right. Like, I don't think that people who are in their 80s should be running the country. You can be advising if you want to. You can be on the cabinet, I guess. You can be a friend of the court or whatever, but you should not be calling the major shots. And it's like, if you're not able to think clearly, if you're not able to remember stuff, if you are not invested in the future because you are not going to be in it, why? What is the point of you? Yeah, that's totally fair, Byron. I would be okay with Biden winning, sparking a national push for an upper age limit amendment to the Constitution, TBH. Right. Like, why is it ageist to say I don't want a fucking octogenarian as president, or really a septuagenarian, if we're being completely honest? If you're in your 70s, don't want it. But, like, it's not ageist to say you have to be 35. You have to have been a legal adult for, like, almost 20 years before you're allowed to be president. Right? Am I remembering that correctly? It's the age is 35. That's the minimum. I think Markiplier could run for president now. Or maybe not this time, but next time. Markiplier for president. Mark Fishbach for president. Yes, agree. When people are like, that's not what the founding fathers intended. First of all, they weren't a monolith. And second off, they're dead and I do not care what they want. They don't live today. Like, one of the founding fathers, like, not only did most of these people own slaves, but one of them repeatedly sexually assaulted their slaves to such an extent that, like, a ton of black people in this country can trace lineage back to Thomas Jefferson. Why do I care what these dead old white men had to say? They didn't think that I should have the right to vote. I do not care about their opinion. And also, not every single one of them believed that, but, like, you have to be an adult for 17 years in order to legally be able to be the president. We need an upper age limit. We need an upper threshold. Anyway, we're getting off of the topic because the topic is Trump's assassination. Because also, he's too fucking old, to be clear. He is also too old and shouldn't be running. And he has let's both sides this for a minute. Trump also has weird word vomit and has for years, to the extent that it seems like he is also not all there. Like, let's just be real. Let's just be honest. Okay, now we're going to do memes. Are we ready? We're doing memes. Okay, let's go. Trump will be older than Biden is now at the end of a second term. Yeah, of course. Yeah. So this is a fun meme. We've got like a good solid 8 or 9 memes. If you have any additional memes, please post them in the stream recommendations channel of the Discord server. I will be checking there before the end of the show to see. Okay, yes. Okay, thank you. You've already posted some in there. Thank you so much. Appreciate you. Nobody has been this disappointed by 2 inches since Stormy Daniels. I don't think that I can say... Okay, so one more serious comment before we get too far into the memes, because this one is... Okay, listen, it's funny. I can't say that I wish that this person had succeeded, because I have professional affiliations aside from just this channel that preclude me from making that kind of statement. But do I think it would be better for this election and for this country if Trump spontaneously stopped breathing? Probably. So that is my statement on that. Okay, now let's move on. Just released a composite sketch of the hashtag shooter. I like this Stormtrooper sketch. That's pretty good. This joke has been made a couple of different times as well, because, yeah, here's another one. Imperial Stormtrooper spotted fleeing scene of Trump shooting. Because Stormtroopers, and they don't shoot good. Although, pet peeve, every time the Stormtroopers are shooting at someone and missing a lot in the original trilogy, it does make sense for them to be letting them go on purpose so that they can track them. Because, you know, oh, you're following this one ship. Like, they could take you back to the actual rebel base or whatever, you know? Like, so, pet peeve, tiny bit, whatever, not a big deal. Still enjoy the Stormtrooper memes. That's pretty good stuff. And to think they were this close. Little community meme. Oh, Trump offering us some wisdom. Offering us some wisdom in this trying time. When he was referring to the Perry High School mass shooting the day after, he said, "We have to get over it." Maybe gonna get over it? Stormtroopers in universe are supposed to be elite marksmen. Yeah, so it makes sense that they, if they were missing, it would be on purpose. This one's pretty funny. I mean, I don't even know. Like, do we need to give commentary? It's Trump photoshopped into an image of Van Gogh after he got his ear cut off, or cut off his own ear. Anyway, it's a joke about his ear. Oh, that one tickled me probably more than most of the other ones, actually. Thought it was pretty good. This one, you know, obviously this one is playing on the idea that the shooter was a leftist. Okay, whatever. But, yeah. The Matrix dodge. I'm glad that it failed, because it would have sparked an actual possible civil upset that would have taken a lot of resources we need soon. The time for petty squabbles is done. Well, yeah, he would have been a dead martyr if he had actually been assassinated, but now he's a living martyr, and I can't personally say which one I think is worse. It's all bad. It's pretty much all bad. Oh, this is worth just putting in there. I do think it's funny that Alana said, "Inside you there are two wolves." These tweets appeared back to back on someone's timeline. First one says, "It's a good time to not publicly tweet your thoughts on here, beloveds. No one needs a door knock right now." Because, yes, if you make these kind of statements that about the former president, there is a chance that you'll get a knock on the door, and nobody wants that. Nobody needs that. However, Christy follows it up saying, "You should absolutely be tweeting every joke that pops into your head right now. Overwhelm the FBI and Secret Service. This is how we win." Be good, okay? No Fed posting. Be good. Little horties. Little beans. And now let's get into some of the ones that you all contributed from Discord. Here's another Stormy Daniels joke. 2 to 3 inches. Rooftop sniper. Oh, yeah. This was, I think this is a reference to, like, them not immediately taking out the shooter. I'm not totally sure. Anyway, another Stormy Daniels joke. A joke about Melania being the one who did it. "The attempt on my life has left me scarred and deformed." Pretty solid. I'm a fan of the Star Wars memes, honestly. You're spicy in here, guys. You got some spicy memes. I'm skipping some of them because they're too spicy. What do you mean they missed? And it's Hillary Clinton. Oh, man. Oh, the conspiracy memes. Oh, so you're a fan of armed citizens? Nah, not anymore. It is going to be interesting to see if this makes any difference with Trump's. I assume that he's going to still be pro gun. He'll spin it and be like, oh, it was the good guys with the guns that got rid of this bad guy with the gun. I mean, for his base, for his political base, he kind of has to. Oops, dropped him. I saw a different one earlier of this. It's like death getting into one of these claw machines, and it was like he was going like, come on, give me Don the Con, and then he was like, God damn it, Richard Simmons, because Richard Simmons just passed away. Okay, this one's okay. Listen. I actually don't think I can show this because of the I'm trying not to show any up close pictures of the wound. Joe's got to upstage him. Got to come out as bisexual. Come on. We got to do something here. Okay, I think that's the end of the memes that y'all have sent in the Discord. The Star Wars memes hit hard because if Trump gets elected, we get the Empire. I mean, I guess that's fair. Yeah, I don't think that the Democrats ordered this hit. I don't think that this is like an inside job. I don't think. I think that this was just like some disaffected dude. Maybe we'll find a manifesto. I don't know. Maybe this guy was like, Trump is going to make the Republican Party worse. We will see. Because again, it's a Republican voter. This kid, Jesus Christ, what was the name again? Thomas Matthew Crooks was the name of the kid. He was 20 years old. He was registered as a Republican and he voted as a Republican in 2022. And he was wearing a right-wing gun YouTuber t-shirt. So in all possibilities, in all actuality, this guy was a right-winger, but we don't know what the reasons are, right? It was not a progressive. It was not an anti-fascist. It wasn't an anarchist, just some right-winger. As is the case with most shootings, most mass shootings at least, in this country. Let's see really quick. So one spectator has passed away after shielding his family with his body. There are 2 others who are in critical condition. So that is the current state of like the casualties, ramifications of this shooting. So with 3 victims, I think this does count as a mass shooting. There's a particular definition of mass shooting. Anyway, so I think that's mostly all of what I have to say on this. I don't know if we can clearly say that Secret Service didn't do a good enough job. Maybe they dropped the ball because, the point that I was making earlier is the last time there was an attempt to shoot a president or a presidential candidate or anything was in 1981. So maybe they just thought, okay, this is a right-wing rally. There aren't any protesters here, so it probably isn't going to happen. But there is some concern that maybe they didn't do a good enough job. Okay, yeah, so yeah, a total of 4 victims, right? Because Trump also was grazed. So yeah, Trump had a wound, very minor wound. The one who passed away, and then 2 other critically injured bystanders. So yes, this qualifies as a mass shooting event. And yeah, most mass shooters are cisgender, heterosexual, white men who are conservative. Yeah, I can't wait to hear the conspiracies and accusations the right comes up with. As if we don't have encyclopedia-sized piles of right-wing mass shooter manifestos motivating their actions, right? It'll be interesting to see. I am imagining that if there's not a manifesto, then what we are going to find is we're going to find Reddit posts or forum posts or something along those lines. And yeah, this is going to be a developing story over the rest of the week. I think that this person earnestly wanted to make some kind of big change. Again, maybe he thought that that Trump was like heading the wrong direction with the party. Kind of hard to say what the specific reason was until we get more evidence on that. Have people already come out to say that this is a trans communist? Yes. Yeah, we covered it way earlier in the segment that there were people going, "Oh, I bet this person's trans." Let me see if there's like some reactions from people that we could just kind of glance over really quick to end this segment. Ah. Apparently, President Donald Trump is trending along with Kid Rock on Twitter right now. People are having conspiracy theories about audio during the shooting. Apparently, someone hears a woman yelling, "Crooks, what are you doing? Get over here," in the crowd. So we're conspiracy posting about that. Oh, apparently Kid Rock said if you fuck with Trump, you fuck with him. Bold words to say to a shooter who was already taken down. Fucking true. New conspiracy, it was Kid Rock. Okay, yeah. So I guess one of the reasons why people are concerned about the security issue is that there was apparently an unsecured rooftop where this guy was. So this guy posted himself on a rooftop 150 yards away from where Trump was doing his thing, and that I guess he had more than ample time to line up his shot. So okay, I think that's certainly an interesting criticism. New conspiracy. The shooter was you, the reader. Holds up a mirror. It was you. The shooter, the shooter was the friends we made along the way, right? Just checking to see if there's any last minute commentary we should check out. It's hard to cover that many rooftops. Trump loves doing events in stupid spots. This has been commented on in the past. Ideally, they want all rooftops within a quarter-mile circle covered, but that can be a lot sometimes. Right, and I'm sure that the staff for this, like, you know, he doesn't have, like, 100 Secret Service agents, maybe? That seems like a lot for one dude who isn't actively the president right now. The shooter was Trump. Oh my God, there's already t-shirts. Shooting makes me stronger. Trump 2024. Oh, Lord have mercy. I will never stop fighting for America. Right next to a Hawk to a spit on that thing shirt. Wow. Opportunism. Never missing a beat. Well, I think that's all for me on this. Capitalism gonna capitalize. True, true, true. Gotta get your money somehow. So, yeah. Who the hell knows what is going to happen with the election after this? I'm seeing at least one tweet here saying, my 66-year-old black grandmother who has never voted for a Republican for president just told me after today she's voting for Donald Trump. She told me, quote, the Democrats have lost their damn mind. That kind of sounds to me like a, you know, and then everybody clapped, you know, like, oh, definitely that really happened. Like, why? I get, yeah, the conspiracy mind could definitely mess some people up, but we'll just have to bide our time and see what ends up happening here. Okay. Let me get rid of this 8 fucking million tabs that I have open right now. Because I already put this in my notes. It's already in my notes, and I do not have enough space in my notes to put every single one of these memes and links. So oh, I did not end up putting this in with the rest of my notes. Okay, I lied. We're gonna talk about one more thing before we wrap up this segment. It's the Reichstag fire. So yes, we're relating this back to Nazi Germany. Hi. Sorry. So on February 27, 1933, the German Parliament building, Reichstag building, burned down from an arson attack. The Nazi leadership and its German nationalist coalition partners exploited the fire to persuade President Paul von Hindenburg that communists were planning a violent uprising to derail Germany's, quote, national renewal. They claimed that emergency legislation was needed to prevent this. Commonly known as the Reichstag Fire Decree, the resulting act, quote, for the protection of the people and the state, abolished a number of constitutional protections and paved the way for Nazi dictatorship. So I think that people are concerned in this moment that this is going to be an excuse to basically, you know, as I've said before, the government uses tragedies as a reason to overreach its authority. You know, like we have the Patriot Act, which um, severely curtails people's freedom to privacy, like right to privacy, in the name of national security because of the terrorist attacks on 9/11. So I do think that there is somewhat of a risk of that here. Although I do think it would be very funny if the Democrats were to try to pass more gun restrictions and naming it like the Save Donald Trump Act or something like that, and then force all of the Republicans to vote against it and filibuster it. That would be very funny. So again, as with every single thing that happens politically in this country, I don't know what's going to happen, and we'll have to wait and see. Let's hope that this is not an excuse to severely curtail anybody's First, Second Amendment rights. You know, like we don't need to lose more of our rights to privacy. We don't need more government overreach into normal people's lives, for sure. Okay, now that's the end of the segment. Okay, now. Oh my gosh. 179 likes. These titles on the stream that are like, we're cooked now, boys, like we're screwed now, or like, oh god, oh fuck, oh shit. Those are the titles that do really well. There was a debate like 2 years ago Lux was in when it said these are the 10 genocide steps. Yeah, that was a 5v1 debate, and I crushed it. And it was only like a year ago. Did I really? I convinced an author? Who was it? Who did I convince? A Holocaust author? Who was that? I didn't hear about this, or at least I don't remember. Thank you, Kitty. Enjoy driving. Yeah, I can't believe I was fucking set up for a 5 versus 1 debate. I fucking hate Will. God, what an asshole. Oh, really? One of the debaters was... I'm trying to remember who all was there. Goddammit, Malcolm was there. What was her name? Gayfesh, what's the name of the weird one? Zonia? Is it Zonia? Yeah, it's still on the channel, by the way. You can go watch it. Listen, Jimmy has been my friend since way before that. Yeah, so it was Goddammit Malcolm, Zonia. There was like a trans masculine person whose name I don't remember and who I decided that I fucking hated after that debate. I guess there were 2 other... Oh yeah, wasn't Rose Millette in that debate? And then there was a 5th person who I can't remember. Oh, it was a name in chat. Okay, cool. Who was the 5th person? I cannot remember. I'd have to go back and watch it. Zonia was the true scum. I can't remember if Zonia is true scum, but I do know that she was like, it's a privilege to get to move from a red state to a safer place. And I'm like, what if you have to sell all of your shit? Like, that's not a privilege. That's you becoming a refugee. Yeah, I can't believe Rose was there. I don't know why her aesthetic was always like, I'm not gonna brush my hair before this public appearance. I know that that's like a real nitpick of all the insane shit that she has said, but, you know, whatever. Okay, Zonia is true scum. Okay. Does that mean that she doesn't even believe in non-binary people? It's been a long time. Yes, Rose Millette is purely a grifter. Yes, Malcolm was disagreeing with me in that debate. I fucking can't believe that Will was like, yeah, let me get 5 people who are against the concept that this is a genocide and 1 person who's gonna have to like argue with 5 people. Man, it was an enjoyable time though. I like talking to people who are fucking wrong. Based on the leaks from the Brianna Wu group chat, I do think that Zonia is anti-NB. Okay, fun. You're open in my YouTube tab and site chat, and they're in sync, which means it sounds on my Bluetooth speaker like this cyberpunk hologram, or if Toonami had a feminine voice actor. That's fun. Moneyed privilege. It's kind of a privilege or boon to keep yourself healthy enough to move around, I guess. I mean, fucking fair. But yeah, no, I think it was like saying like it's a... I think Zonio was saying it's a privilege to move somewhere. And I'm like, yeah, it's a privilege to keep all of your belongings, right? Like, it's a privilege for you to take everything you own and pack it into a U-Haul and go. It's not a privilege to sell everything you own, put a backpack on your body, and get a ride from someone in a car to go to a safer state and have to start your entire life all over, you know? Like, I think people just don't have the ability to imagine that, like, there's desperation involved. Yeah, if you want to keep your 3 guitars, then, you know, maybe paying for a U-Haul trailer is kind of a privilege. But having to break your lease and get a new job and stuff, like, those aren't privileges. Yeah, fleeing your home because you're politically persecuted. So privileged. I don't know if Jimmy ever watches my streams. I kind of doubt it. Not because we're not friends or anything, but just because it just seems like the kind of thing that he wouldn't do with his free time. But Charlotte says, Jimmy, if you're watching, thank you for everything you do, and hashtag go fuck yourself, Jimmy. Y'all are so mean to him. He's my friend. It's so hard for me to be like, okay, I don't really know where the meme came from of saying go fuck yourself, Jimmy, but whatever. Weirdos. Okay, we're gonna do some HIV discourse next. That's what we're doing now. That was on my list of things to do before this whole Trump assassination attempt happened, so... I should probably fill my water up before we get started, though. Oh yeah, I was in the middle of getting rid of a bunch of links that I don't need open anymore. I missed the most important meme. I can't believe I missed the most important meme. We might have to include this in the segment, because we missed the most important meme. I can't believe I've done this. I can't believe I've done this. Okay, listen. The most important thing out of this whole assassination thing, you know? Most important thing.
Hi, I'm Trevor Moore. Did you know that it's illegal to say I want to kill the President of the United States of America? It's illegal. It's a federal offense. It's one of the only sentences that you're not allowed to say. Now, it was okay for me to say it right then because I was just telling you that it's illegal to say I want to kill the President of the United States of America.
I'm just gonna stop that there because I don't even know if that in and of itself is gonna get me copyright. But listen, that's the most important meme. It is illegal to say that. Oh, sorry if it was loud. Sorry. Yeah, anyway, that was the most important meme. I should put that in my notes now. Oh, the go fuck yourself thing is avoiding toxic parasociality. Okay, fair enough. Be conscientious with your memes, everybody. Okay. My understanding is that Jimmy is uncomfortable with compliments, so telling him to go fuck himself is a way to express acknowledgement or friendship of him without prompting his brain to go into negative backtalk. Oh, okay, fair enough. That makes more sense. The Whitest Kids You Know was such a good show. I know. Listen. That was Trevor Moore. Trevor Moore died a few years ago. And I think that he was CIA'd. Okay? That's an opinion. Because he had been sober for several years, but he allegedly died by taking, like, there was an accident of some kind and he fell off of the balcony of his house or apartment. And allegedly he was drunk, or like allegedly there was alcohol involved. And I don't believe that. No. I no believe. Trevor Moore was only like 36 or something when he died. Yeah, I'm full-blown conspiracy theory on that one. Full-blown conspiracy theory. Trevor Moore was an amazing human being. Hashtag not all men. I mean, he was definitely very funny. I don't know anything about him personally. I know that I'm gay for the US of A. Oh, this is just kind of something amusing. So I recently did the hunting training so that I could get my hunting license, and that involved a lot of information about guns. And so now one of my newest pet peeve that I've acquired is muzzle control in TV shows and movies. Because you're supposed to like always control where the muzzle is pointing, even if your gun is unloaded. And yeah, so casually, like, people walking in front of guns and then them not like lowering the muzzle. And yeah, I mean, listen, it's a pet peeve. You probably have other things to worry about today, but happy non-binary day. Ooh, I knew that it was non-binary visibility week recently, but I didn't know if it was non-binary day today. Are you saying you have to treat the gun like you have a really long lightsaber? Just, yeah. And people, like, moving their gun and, like, it passes over a person's body. It's like, no, point it at the floor. Point it at the floor. This just in, a Tennessee federal court has ruled that there is no fundamental right to change the sex designation on our birth certificates. Cool. I know that in Kansas I don't think that it's been escalated. I think that it's just a district court in Shawnee or something that has said that we don't have a right to change the sex designation on our birth certificates or on our driver's licenses. Yeah, don't flag someone you don't intend to shoot. I've also noticed, in The Last of Us at least, that sometimes there is a light attached to the gun and attached to the scope, and people will be pointing the gun around so that they can point the flashlight at stuff. And that's also a no-no. That's also something you don't look through your scope in order to see far away. You look through the scope when you're ready to take your shot. You need fucking binoculars and you need a flashlight separate. I get it, it's a combat situation, but still, it's now a newly acquired pet peeve. Yes, muzzle control and trigger discipline are huge pet peeve. Yeah, of course, trigger discipline. Of course, that's the easy one. I think the server is largely filled with good eggs, but it might be a good idea to advise being careful about topics around explicit political violence. Yeah, as a moderator in the server, you have carte blanche permission to shut down political violence conversations that are getting out of hand. And to delete comments, like, for sure. I'm not super active in there all the time, so I'm not necessarily going to be there. But do you think that I should make an announcement in the announcements channel, maybe? Did I not make my follow-up announcement saying that? Oh, no, I did. Okay, time for music, Horties. Let's go. Okay, I did do that. Does that mean that there is some fundamental law that says we shouldn't be allowed to change identifying information on our documentation? Right, yeah, it's implying that could have one of us do it instead. Yeah, let me just do that really quick since I'm in here. Okay, an announcement has been made. Leave it to The Last of Us to create zombies more nightmarish than 28 days later. Truly. Is the server open to the public? Yes, it is, Winter V. If you would like to check the links up top here, there should be a link to the Discord server. And it is publicly open. There is a very minor hurdle you have to get over in order to actually access the full server, but you just read the page that you're able to read. And then do the thing that it tells you to do, and you'll be able to get in the server, okay? Oh, jeez. It's easier to get infected in 28 days later. Right, like if blood comes in contact with your body in any way. But the thing is that, like, the infected don't need to be bleeding or anything in order to infect you. They just have to bite you. That's it. And it seems like they bite people very easily. So, anyway, great show. Love it so much. Bodily fluids of any sort. Yeah. Because if you think about it, like, every fluid that you create is, you know, it is made of blood plasma. Like, saliva is blood plasma. Cum is blood plasma. Like, with the Tennessee ruling, there was at least one dissent which agreed that it's messed up to have people think you're not who you say you are on your birth certificate because of the sex marker. Right, yeah, that is, of course, one of the major issues is, like, if someone assumes that your document has been forged because your appearance does not match the sex marker on there, yeah. I know, Sag, the little brother scene. Okay. We're going to do another segment now. We're doing more things. Trump is not the only thing happening right now. So we're going to talk about a sensitive topic real quick. I mean, yeah, sure, real quick. I always say, this is just going to be a real quick one. And then 20 minutes later, anyway. So I think that it's prudent to talk about HIV because I think that we are experiencing a situation right now where there's probably less stringency around protection. Like, it's been long enough since the biggest part of the AIDS epidemic that I think most of us don't know how bad it was. And we think of, of course I don't have HIV. And of course, I don't do things that are unsafe or whatever. I've only ever had monogamous relationships, but it's like, have you or the person that you're having monogamous relationships with ever been tested? Are you being very strict about condom use? And are you on PrEP? So PrEP is kind of the conversation that we're going to focus on today. PrEP is a medication that you can take that it lowers... PrEP is the thing that you can be on if you actually have HIV, correct? Or is it only a preventative? But mostly, I understand it as something that people take to prevent them actually acquiring HIV. Because it's basically an antiviral against HIV. Human immunodeficiency virus, which causes acquired immune deficiency syndrome. So you can just take the pills every day. They do have side effects that some people don't want to have. Like, they can have some impact on your organs. Like, every medication has risks. But Xander Hall tells his chat to spam hi YouTube at the start of every segment. Does it clear out the chat from whatever previously it was? Listen, I am not going to take cues from Zan on, I don't think, anything. Anyway, so there are people on Twitter who are just talking about, like, yeah, I take pills every day that make it so I cannot contract HIV. This was in response to someone being like, aren't we in another AIDS epidemic or something? Y'all are seriously tripping. You don't have to treat sex like it's this sacred, all-important thing. So, yeah, you can just take pills every day that make it so you can't contract HIV. And the response to this is really intense slut-shaming and queer phobia, effectively. Like, this one response, this is the only one that I quote tweeted, but this kind of response was happening in the replies over there pretty often. Like, what? You need to take pills to not contract HIV? You can't just not have sex with people who have HIV? There's a really strong implication there that this is why people have issues with the whole clean versus dirty phrasing. People are like, oh, I just recently got my STI. I just recently got my STI panel and I'm clean, right? There's an implication that people who have HIV are dirty, like that they're undesirable, that you should never have sex with them, that they are not worthy of being in relationships. And that is such a strong form of shame and such a strong form of social rejection that I'm pretty sure it has contributed to suicides before. PrEP is the preventative and PEP is what people take when they actually have HIV. Thank you for that correction. Yes, but of course, the magical solution to all things, just don't have sex. Tips Fedora. This person is very clearly coming at this in bad faith. Like, if we continue on reading this thread, there's a lot of irrationally angry people in here for some inexplicable reason who are getting really angry inexplicable reason, really angry at the very simple statement of you don't have to have sex with everybody. That is not what you said. You said don't have sex with people who have HIV. Y'all are allergic to cause and effect. QRTs are full of arslers who are desperately making excuses as to why they have to have sex with everybody they know. oh man, I solved this problem by just getting a normal girlfriend and having a normal monogamous relationship. So we're throwing shade on polyamory or open relationships. Or what if people are single and they're just dating around and like having sex every once in a while, right? Even you having a normal girlfriend, she could be HIV positive and you would not necessarily know unless she had gotten tested. And I don't think that many people have. I mean, I think a lot of us think, oh, I don't have any reason to get tested. Because we assume that just being in a series of monogamous relationships means that there's no risk. But that is not the case. And so this person continues going on like, oh, here, people are still irrationally, unreasonably angry at the idea that you don't have to have sex with everybody you know, and that feeling a desperate desire to do so might be a sign that something is wrong with you. So something is wrong with you if you are having casual sex, I guess. People still irrationally angry at monogamous relationships. Like, nobody's angry at you for being monogamous. We're angry. I mean, not really angry, but people are angry at you for treating monogamy like it is morally superior to being in an open relationship or having, like, casual sex. You know? The latency of HIV can last decades. Right. So that's the thing, too. You know, you might think, oh, I would know if I had HIV, but the initial illness is kind of like a flu. Like when you first contract HIV, it's like a flu. And then you don't really, like, you don't develop the immune deficiency part until like 10, 12 years or even more. So, and like I was reading some statistics recently that showed like 34% of new cases of HIV are caused by people having not tested. Like being, like you passing it to someone without knowing that you have it is like, that's responsible for like 34% of new cases. So yeah, like, and it's pretty easy to get tested. Like it's a little finger prick, like it's like not even a full blood panel. And I think that it's considered a normal part of public health. It's kind of like how if you have a vagina, right, in a cervix, you get like annual, or not annual, at this point, it's like every 3 years, you get your pap smear and you get a regular panel of, you get tested for chlamydia, you know, you get tested for gonorrhea. It should be just normal part of your public health approach to get tested for HIV at least once in your life, even if you're not like engaging in the kind of risky behaviors that are associated. Like even if you're using condoms regularly, even if you're not doing weird shit like sharing needles, you know, weird shit, whatever, as long as you're not doing risky things like sharing needles. Right. But if you don't get tested, then you don't know. And if your partners don't get tested, then they don't know. Lightwolf says, every physical I've had in the last several years, my primary care has just included HIV testing in the annual blood work, along with cholesterol and metabolic stuff. Right. You know, if you are in an open relationship, or if you're casual, you know, having sex, like, again, even if you're having protected sex, like if you're using condoms and stuff, you should get tested. It's what, like every 6 months you should get tested? Because I guess it can take about 6 months before you start to have like a positive test result. True. Dally says, I trusted my poly friends more than the monogamous ones regarding sexual activity and STI risks because they were careful and open with all partners, whereas you would find out that a monogamous person had cheated. Right. Even if you're in a monogamous relationship, you don't know if your partner is being faithful. Like most of us want to assume that. And probably most of us who are in monogamous relationships are in secure relationships where our partners are not doing weird shit. You know, like, I think most people probably are not cheaters, but you can't know for sure. So it might be good to just get those things done as a regular part of your normal health. And right, yeah, I do think that there is a stigma. People think you're weird if you ask. Like, this is part of why I'm glad that I'm not dating, and I probably won't ever date again, is because I know so much more than I used to know, and that's gonna be a conversation that I would have to have. Like, when was the last time you were tested for a full STI panel? When was the last time you were tested for HIV? When was the last time you had unprotected sex with someone? And that's like, that's the basic. And then I also have to have a conversation about COVID safety, you know? Like, people treat you like you're some kind of weird person if they're not accustomed to it. Like, if you're in poly circles, like, I think most poly people are like, yes, it has to be safe. We have to make sure we have very explicit discussions about this. This is called a pants-on conversation. When you go over this list of things and you're like, okay, here is when my last panel was. I have not had any new sexual partners since that last panel, or whatever, you know, like, you have to be on the same page about all this. But I will say, so there is a reveal here. The kind of people who are shit-talking folks who are on PrEP, like, by the way, plenty of people who aren't having tons of sex with lots of people are on PrEP just because, like, you should be on it just in case. I mean, like, I don't think that everybody needs to be on PrEP, to be clear. But this person's like, I'm happy we're not degenerates. Me and my girlfriend are not degenerates. Because there is this belief that goes into this that, like, it's very queer phobic. Like, because, you know, gay men are known for having this kind of casual hookup culture, that, like, it's, you know, the term degenerate is very explicitly pointing at those types of people and criticizing that specific behavior. But I want to redirect some attention toward one last thing on this person's thread. Got mass reported for this thread. This was obvious degen anger. Monogamoids stay winning. Bug spreaders seething. I think bug spreaders is another, like, it's basically a slur for people who are having sex casually. Like, so I want, you know, obviously this is queer phobic because HIV, like, is largely considered to be a gay disease because it was mostly gay men who had it back in the 70s and 80s or whatever. But actually, I think some of the highest spread of HIV nowadays is among heterosexuals, because heterosexuals don't think that they need to protect against this. Yeah, that's not a dog whistle, that's a bullhorn, exactly. So I do want to draw some positive attention to Pup Amp, who is one of the two primary contributors on the channel What's the Safe Word. If you're not familiar, it's super good. It's like, he's gay and in a primary relationship with an older bear and also in an open relationship. Thank you so much for the dono. I will read that in just 1 second. So Pup Amp is in an open relationship. He has other partners, I believe, and also he does porn. So, like, he does gay porn for his job. That's his primary job. So obviously there's lots of reasons for that type of person to be on PrEP, because if you're in an open relationship, and, like, polyamory is becoming more and more normalized nowadays, it makes perfect sense to be like, I'm going to protect myself because I cannot know what my other partners are doing. I'm not keeping tabs on all of my partners and who their partners are. And then it's normal in the porn industry to do regular STI testing, so you might as well just protect yourself preemptively. Hey, Oteo, thank you so much. I have not seen you in the chat for a while, so it's great to see you. Thank you for the tier 2 sub. They say, in the PrEP discourse, it's wild to see otherwise progressive people say it's immoral to have casual sex. Right. Like, yeah, there's this morality tied into it, and, like, a superiority complex of people who are like, well, I'm monogamous and that's morally better. Or, like, I have only had sex with one person and that's morally better. You know, because this is a broader conversation about slut shaming. You know, like, obviously the queerphobia element, but like underneath that is this idea that like you shouldn't be casually having sex, or like you shouldn't be in an open relationship or doing the whole free love thing, right? Like these are the kind of people who would have scolded hippies for doing their thing. So directing this to Pup points out, Amp, his name is Amp, oh my god, sometimes people lie about their status. Sometimes people don't know their status. Sometimes people get assaulted, right? Like if you get assaulted by someone, would you not want to be like, I'm protected from this? Or sometimes we are in a monogamous relationship with someone who's HIV positive and we want to have peace of mind about safety. Amp points out that PrEP is not a party drug. It's not a sign that you're some kind of unethical slut. You protect yourself because it means that you're protecting others as well. I dated one of the best guys over a decade ago who was positive, and I was on PrEP at that time. This rhetoric and mindset was thrown at me for years by uneducated, shame-filled, closed-minded people who would invoke PrEP as a sign that I was an irresponsible slut. Don't do this. And also, imagine dating a person who is HIV positive and they see or hear this over and over. Imagine the shame we felt for being a responsible couple. There's a reason HIV rates are lowering in some queer demographics and rising in some hetero demographics in studies. This is part of the problem. Yeah, and again, like this is portraying people with HIV as not deserving of any kind of sexual intimacy ever again. But yeah, like it really does send the signal that people who are HIV positive are like unworthy of being in a relationship. Like, are they only allowed to date each other? Why, if you fall in love with someone and they disclose that they're HIV positive, why wouldn't you just get on PrEP? Probably, like, personally, I would probably still use protection with that person and be on PrEP. Again, this is not a conversation that I even need to worry about having because I'm monogamous, but like, I would probably do the extra mile to prevent the possible spread. But yeah, like if anything, PrEP is more protection than the condom because the condom can fail. Condoms break, y'all. Like it happens. So you would probably just want to have the peace of mind. And we want people with HIV who, again, 34% of new cases are from people who did not know that they had it. So maybe that person was in a monogamous relationship with someone who had been, maybe they, in the past, they had been doing unsafe behaviors and then they spread it to this new partner. And it's like, well, I was in a monogamous relationship. Like I was trying to do the right thing, quote unquote, by not being like, not having casual sex all the time. Like shaming people does not really work in this instance. You know, we've been over this. You can't just tell, like, this was the rhetoric in the 80s too. Like, well, if you have HIV, just don't have sex. Or if you're gay, just don't have sex, right? And we can encourage people. We can say, hey, you should use protection. But like, you know, if you have sex without protection, like shaming that person is probably not going to have the result that you want it to have if your goal is for them not to do it again in the future, right? The thing is, the public health way to deal with this is to make condoms more easily accessible and to make PrEP easily accessible. Like this is the correct public health approach to this, is just to make the ways to be safe easier to access and educate about them. PrEP takes time to start working too. Yeah, that makes sense. Like you have to build it up in your body. Shocker, the heterosexuals are the issue. Fucking true. True, exactly, Winter V. Earlier, you were asking for precedented times. This is what you get, monkey claw. Monkey paw curls another finger. Yeah. Gayfesh says, when I've dated women, we use condoms and the pill, and that's just a pregnancy thing. Precautions are good, and they compound when you use multiple. Right. It's, what is it called? It's called like the Swiss cheese theory. You know, like this one form of protection might not give you 100% protection, but if you layer several different Swiss cheese forms of protection, like you're creating more coverage that way, essentially. So it just doesn't make sense to position yourself as morally superior for landing yourself a monogamous relationship. Cool, not everybody wants that. Some people don't even want to be in a serious relationship, period. There are people who are like, no, I'm going to protect my peace. I want to live alone, and I want to date for fun. Those people deserve to be happy and fulfilled, even if their version of happiness and fulfillment is different from yours. And I know this is not the primary topic that we're talking about right now, but when it comes to protecting yourself from contracting illnesses that can permanently damage your immune system, you should also be wearing a respirator and vaccinating yourself against COVID and getting a flu vaccine every year and taking Streptococcus salivarius K12 probiotic as a preventative and avoiding avoiding indoor events. And even when you're outdoors, make sure you remain distant from people, right? Because there is some question as to how severe the immune damage is. But if you continue to get COVID over and over again, it could very well have similar health effects to having untreated HIV, resulting in immune deficiency that causes you to not be able to fight off basic illnesses. So while we're on the topic of being safe, we should also be safe doing this. And like, just like with sex and HIV, if you take these measures to protect yourself, you can still have all the sex that you're wanting to have, right? You can still go to all the events that you want to go to potentially, as long as you're taking those precautions against respiratory illness. Yeah, the replies on this person's post, it's literally just, have you thought about not having random sex and making sure you don't sleep with AIDS infected people? This isn't a hard concept. I do this, and by do this, I mean not have sex with people who have or may have had intimate contact with a person who has HIV. Like, how do you know? Are you doing contact tracing? Is this an argument in support of contact tracing? Oh, man. It's so obnoxious. But anyway, so this is a public health reminder. This is a little public health announcement. You should get tested for HIV, even if you're pretty sure that you don't have it, because it's good to just be confident and know your status, right? And if you do have casual sex, you should consider being on PrEP and making sure that you always have condoms on hand, right? You should get full STI panels, probably at least once a year. Or again, you know, if you're like me and you go in for like a pelvic exam every 3 years, make sure you get the full thing done. Even if you feel confident that you are not positive for any of these illnesses, you should still just do it as a matter of, this is good public health policy, and it's good routine sex care. And furthermore, if you start to feel like you have the sniffles, take a fucking COVID test. Stay home. Wear a respirator. Okay? Okay. Okay? Okay. Do we have anything else that we can add on this topic? Is there anything else we can say? You know, slut shaming is stupid. Monogamy is not inherently superior. Like, gay people aren't dirty for having casual sex. Yeah, and of course this also swipes sex workers. I think that's a good thing to point out as before we wrap up here, is that people who do sex work, just like Amp who does porn, you know, you have the right to earn an income and be safe at the same time. Like, it's a job just like any other job. It's not selling your body more than selling your body to fucking dig coal out of the ground or stand at a cash register for 8 solid hours. People who do sex work are people. They deserve to have an income. They deserve to be safe. There is nothing wrong with them morally, spiritually. Like, it's just a job. And there should be adequate protections for them. Okay, I think that's it for me on this. Just wanted to make sure we cover this because there is rhetoric on Twitter right now, and queer people are on it for the most part with testing, but straight people aren't. Heterosexuals, y'all are responsible for like a fucking lot of HIV spread. So maybe start taking precautions. Okay, I'm gonna put this in my notes now. I'm ready for this to go in my notes. Okay, now that's in my notes, and we've now done 2 topics today, and we're at 205 likes. Wow, there's still 102 people in here. If you have enjoyed any of this conversation, please consider dropping me a $5 dono. Direct link on the website is much better than Super Chat because YouTube takes 30% of your money. This is what I do for my living. We do the commentary, we do the informing, you know, we do the memes. It's a fun time. I appreciate you. If you want something in return, you can go to the links in the description to find some merchandise. This is a very comfy, warm hoodie. There's also tank tops. There's also coffee mugs. There's all kinds of stuff. I appreciate you. Thank you very much. I have at least one other topic for today. It might be 2. Yeah, we're about halfway to the 420 likes. That's ultimately the goal next time, you know. Once we pass 100, the next goal is 420, for sure. That's what we're gunning toward. Ooh, I'm gonna get lunch after this, and it's gonna be amazing. One thing about going hunting early in the morning is that it's basically going hiking. Like, so I burned some calories this morning. Ugh. Yeah, Eric says, in the area that I used to work, because I worked in public health with HIV positive people, straight folks were the main people both actively spreading and not informing partners of having a viral load or being HIV positive at all. Queer community more educated, TBH. I do not find that surprising in the least. What did you say, Hey Oteo? Does anyone have any tips for sensory issue-friendly COVID precautions? N95 set off my gag reflex so bad I throw up. I'm curious, why? Do you know what it is about wearing an N95 that gives you a gag reflex? Is it... I can't imagine what that would be. But also I suck dick, so I have a hard time imagining my gag reflex being triggered by something that's not physically in my throat. Oh, I'm out of water. Rip in pieces. Why gag reflex? Also, what kind of N95 were you wearing that gave you a gag reflex? I can show you the kind of N95s that I wear. And also, yes, I do have other tips for ways to protect yourself that don't involve wearing an N95, but I'm just curious if we can solve this N95 problem first. Rabbits are active in the early morning as well. Yeah, that's when I keep trying to go. I haven't gotten out there early enough, I think, because they're really active around sunrise, and I haven't gotten out there early enough. I have a super sensitive gag reflex in general. High collar shirts set it off, and I can't really wear jewelry. Is it like having something under your chin like this? Is that where the problem was? Like, this is the kind of respirator that I wear. And I really like this because it has the metal up here, and there's also like foam on the nose part. So it seals up really nicely up top. And then the part underneath comes under the chin, which is comfortable for me, and it makes me feel like there's a nice seal down there. However, I have also worn this type of N95, which only barely comes under the chin, and it's more of like a focused on the front of your face kind of deal. So it might be that this type is more preferable for you if you're really being bothered by having this thing on your goozle, like underneath your chin. This might be a more preferable kind of N95. You can wear a surgical mask, and it will confer some small amount of protection. I personally don't recommend going that way. But yeah, so if you can get these N95s that focus more on the front of the face, and they kind of only just barely come under the chin right there, that's like an option. However, if you are completely unable to work around it, you can also regularly use a nasal spray with xylitol in it, like X-Clear, or maybe it's not X-Clear, it's just Xlear. Let me see if I can find it really quick. Xlear, this one. You can get this nasal spray. It has xylitol in it, which is a plant-based sweetener. Xylitol has been shown to be antiviral. So if you use this nasal spray several times a day, that can help keep you from getting sick. I would also recommend taking the probiotic Streptococcus salivarius K12, which you can buy off of Amazon. It's a positive bacteria that crowds out other bacteria and viruses. You can take it every day, and it will also help with your teeth and your breath. Like, it's good for your dental health as well. You can also get mouthwash with CPC in it as the active ingredient. However, that might damage the Streptococcus salivarius culture in your mouth. So that's something that you should only use like when you do something particularly high risk, but you use the mouthwash for 1 full minute. Like, you swish it for 1 full minute, and it's antiviral locally in the mouth. So if you get the nasal spray and you're using the probiotic and you occasionally use the CPC, that can cover you quite a lot if you're unable to use the masks. Although I do always recommend, like, the mask should be at the top of your list of priorities. So yeah, those are my recommendations. And then also, of course, making sure that your vaccine stays up to date. It's recommended for certain individuals to get the vaccine every 6 months instead of once a year. I will say, unfortunately, the Bridge Access program is going to expire in August this year, right before the new vaccine becomes available, which is huge bullshit. And frankly, you should contact your legislators about that to see if they can extend the Bridge Access program, because that helps cover uninsured and underinsured people. And otherwise, the vaccine is going to cost $100, like maybe more than $100. But of course, the vaccine doesn't prevent you from catching COVID. It just reduces the severity of your illness when you come in contact with COVID. So yes, I have comprehensive recommendations. I have the N95 and don't like the elastic. I have more casual masks that are designed for dirt biking, but are more effective than the surgical mask and have a Velcro strap. This is another recommendation that I don't see people talk about this very often. When you are first putting on a mask with an elastic band, you should go along the elastic band and pull it to give it an initial kind of like loosening, and it fits much more comfortably if you do that. Yes, absolutely. I'm happy to help. Hey, Oteo. Hopefully some of those recommendations work for you. I already use a mouthwash with CPC Sweet. I would say you should probably not use a mouthwash with CPC every day because it is very harsh and it will destroy the biome of bacteria in your mouth, which can open you up to bad bacteria. So I would say use that sparingly. I've got the recommendations, y'all. Okay, so we have one. I think we're going to do just one more thing today. I'm currently in the process of getting a possible autoimmune disorder diagnosed, so I've been thinking I need to take more precautions, but did not know where to start. Happy to help, for sure. And anytime I come in contact with more things, I always try to share it with you guys. Like, I fairly recently learned about the xylitol and CPC thing, and I try to bring that up because people are always like, oh, well, I can't do the things I want to do. Like, listen, one of my friends who lives in Seattle is like still very actively dating and will do things like, you know, make out with people that they barely know, right? And recently caught COVID from a friend and was telling one of the people that they had made out with, and that person was like, oh, I don't really get sick with COVID because when I do something high risk, like make out with someone I don't really know, I do the CPC and xylitol thing, and that keeps me from getting sick. So it's like, you can still kind of do risky-ish behaviors if you're doing these things. I'm wondering if I can make it through the rest of this stream without filling up my water, or if I should just go fill up my water now and then move on to the next topic. Ooh. Oh, good grief. Novavax is available now. Yeah, I was considering getting Novavax. It's a more typical protein type of vaccine that we're all familiar with. And I was thinking about maybe getting vaccinated now while I still have the bridge access program. And like, there's an event that I'm going to do in the fall that I would like to have extra protection for. Okay, I'm just going to run and fill up my water. If you go anywhere, I'll cry. Don't go anywhere. I'm just going to fill up my water. I'll be gone for less than a minute. Okay, I'm back and I'm hydrated. Some people left. I'm gonna cry. You're the first person whose response to that wasn't just, I don't believe you, masks aren't that uncomfortable, stop being a baby. I mean, I'm gonna say, I still think you should try to figure out a situation where a mask can fit and work, right? But I'm not gonna be like, I don't believe you. That would be, like, why would you lie about that? Like, what would be the point of that? But yeah, I was thinking like, ooh, Maybe I should go ahead and get another vaccine before the Bridge Access Program expires. That would be great, because I don't have insurance. That's one of the things I hope about moving to a blue state. Like, maybe we will have insurance. That would be fucking amazing. Ugh. I haven't even looked into how much it would cost for me to get insurance, but like, I would undoubtedly pay more every month for insurance than I would pay over the entire year for my own health care. Excuse me. Oh my gosh, 222 likes. Wow. Do you have any advice for COVID cleaning my cats? Why are your cats being exposed to COVID? What? What? Well, don't get xylitol anywhere near your cats. It's toxic for animals. Okay. You might look at Home Depot Hayoteo for the masks. Or like a similar, like Lowe's or something, for the masks. I'm squeezing my microphone. Just squoozing. Squoozo. Okay, so the last thing that I had planned to talk about today is... Y'all know Elliot Page? Familiar with Elliot Page? They were the main character in Juno. That's the main thing that I know them from. And also he was in The Umbrella Academy, which is a show that I have never watched, but I do have some of the original comics. So... yeah, Elliot Page, trans extraordinaire. I believe that he identifies as a trans man, possibly non-binary, but definitely trans. Mask. Trans mask. They are going to be in a movie called Close to You. And apparently it has to do directly with being trans, which I think is really cool. This movie was shown at a film festival, but now it has actually gotten like cinema approval to release. So I wanted to watch the trailer with you and like do a little reaction. No, nothing awful, only good things. Only wonderful things. So we're going to watch the trailer and see what it's about, because I want to know. I'm desperate. I'm desperate to find out. I'm a big fan of his. I've been a big fan since Juno, right? Which came out when I was a teenager. I'm 30. God, Juno was such a long time ago. That's crazy. All right, so we're going to watch the trailer and have a little reaction moment. Okay, I'm gonna adjust the volumes here, make sure everything's okay.
I'm going home for my dad's birthday.
Oh my God! Okay, now I'm gonna start it over. I did that for a reason, okay? Let's try this. So exciting! Okay, let's go.
I'm going home for my dad's birthday.
Oh my gosh!
I haven't gone back in close to 4 years.
Jeez. Bold. That's a bold move.
Is it?
This is a very dark film. That's my initial reaction to this, is that it's very not brightly lit. Yeah, so it was at the Toronto International Film Festival and the London LGBTQIA+ Film Festival. That was not the correct acronym, but okay, I don't care.
Happy birthday.
Can I get you a drink? First impression with a brother. It is really nice to meet you.
I know I'm just nothing but a disappointment to them.
You sort of took off. You've been gone.
You can come to Dad and I for, anything if you need it.
I'm really okay. In so many ways I am, for the first time.
Baby picture moment.
I just still think of you as my little girl.
Oh, that's always harsh.
You're so sad. And the last thing a parent wants is for the kid to be sad.
It's hard to say, but
Oh,
you
that's so
know
sweet.
when you found it.
You look so good. You really do. You look the same, just more you. I love it.
For all these years,
Oh, yeah, there's that guy. I was wondering where he was.
you pick me up when I'm on the ground.
I don't know all the rules.
What are you talking about rules? I'm just a person. Just talk to me.
Give me strength when it can't be.
You're going through a thing. We all have to obey you.
Obey what? I just worry about.
Okay, so basically, like this is an interesting because the movie it is going to have like the central conflict being around like the social ramifications of coming out. Like some people being supportive, some people having trouble with it, you know. And like I think with Elliot Page, given that he's such a like I finally found my joy, I am hoping that it mostly has like a positive ending, you know, or at least the characters who initially struggle with it end up more understanding. This is a movie that I will watch, and I might do like a more in-depth review of it when it comes out, because I would, you know, there's like so few positive representations or even representations period of trans people and like trans stories, right? Like the most famous trans story in a movie for a man, at least at this point, is fucking Boys Don't Cry, where the main character, who's a trans man, is played by Hilary Swank, a cis woman, and spoiler alert, is sexually assaulted and murdered at the end of the movie. So that's not great. That's not good rep. I've heard of I Saw the TV Glow. I was looking to try to figure out where I could watch it online. I want to stream it and see. I've heard that one's really, really brutally intense, though. So yeah, this one doesn't seem like it's going to be brutally intense, but maybe still, like, obviously the central conflict in this is a trans man goes home to his hometown, and some people are cool with it and some people aren't. Okay, let's finish.
About you. You weren't worrying about me when I was actually not okay.
Oh,
I'm so
harsh.
proud of you, my brave boy, living who you really are.
all these years.
Okay, this is going to be...
You were the only person I felt myself around.
After all these years.
That kid was in so much pain before.
Yes. Yes. August 16. Boy, I know what I'm doing August 16. Ooh, okay. Ooh. That's only a month away. Oh, that's very exciting. I'm like, what day of the week is that? That's a Friday? Ooh, bitch. I'm gonna try to catch a matinee of that. I rarely go to the movies because hashtag not trying to catch fucking COVID. But yeah, I would definitely, I'm gonna go catch that matinee, and I'll have to talk about it imminently because wow, I'm gonna like try to take notes in the theater. Like, Elliot Page has been an inspiration to me for so long. When he came out, I felt so validated. It's nice to see another trans Canadian like me who's a cool actor everyone already loves. Right. Did anybody else who's trans, and particularly trans mask, did anyone else feel like that really, I'm going to say queer, and by that I mean strange, that really strange interest in, this movie's called Close to You, this really strange interest in Elliot Page in Juno? I was like, I really like this person. Like, I don't normally care very much about actors and stuff at the time, but I was just like really fascinated with them. And then they came out as a lesbian, and I was like, oh, okay, I guess maybe that was it. But then when they came out as trans and like trans mask, I was like, oh, there it is. That's why. Because there's something that we recognize in each other that is like, you can't put words to it. It's like there's no way to speak the connection. You just recognize something familiar. And then, oh man, finally you came out. Okay, everything fits. Everything slides into place and makes sense now. Yeah, I don't know if it's confirmation bias, but there was a vibe. Right. And like I was a teenager and I think that I saw Juno before I knew that I was trans. But then I came out as trans and yeah. The Prime Directive. I need to rewatch Juno sometime. Like big time I need to rewatch it. I haven't seen it since I was quite young. Giving a tragic ending to a movie that covers a polarizing subject involving a marginalized demographic is a super mega gamble. Right, yeah, like, you know, obviously Brandon Tina, who is the subject of Boys Don't Cry, was a real person who really was sexually assaulted and murdered. So it's like, you know, telling the true story. But like, man, can we tell some stories where trans people get to have good things? I also did read a recent story, and this is kind of apropos of nothing except that we're talking about Juno, but apparently Elliot Page had like a lot of sex with the female co-star, or not really a female co-star, but like the girl in Juno who was like the friend. This person, like the teenager friend, who is the actress, I cannot remember her name right now. But apparently they had like a ton of sex. It's just fun fact. Yeah, I'll have to pre-select my seat in the theater so that I can be all the way in the back. Because it also means you're above everybody and nobody's breathing COVID down onto you. Oh no. So yes, I'm excited to see this movie. I'm first of all excited to see anything that Elliot Page is in, except I'm not really interested in seeing the Umbrella Academy, but that's because of other reasons. But yeah, I would love to see specifically like some stories by and for a trans audience, you know, and portraying like a complex existence. This is also only the first movie trailer. Maybe there will be another trailer coming soon. Yeah. Oh man, I'm expecting this movie's gonna make me cry, big time. I'm gonna have to bring tissues to the theater. And then I'll have to watch I Saw the TV Glow, which apparently also is gonna fuck me up and make me cry a bunch. So cool, great. All right, I'm gonna put this in my notes. I don't want to watch The Umbrella Academy because I used to be a really big fan of My Chemical Romance, and it just kind of makes me feel, it like reminds me of my weird teenage years when I was self-harming a lot and other associated mental problems that I was having at the time. So that's why I don't want to watch The Umbrella Academy. Close to You, Elliot Page. Okay, now that's in my notes. Yay! I might have to actually, like, write it down and remind myself. Like, August 16 movie, Elliot Page. Because I won't remember otherwise. Yes, there truly are so few trans mask movies. The only other thing that I had slotted for today, and I don't know if we'll have time to get to it before I am too hungry to continue, it was like the ban on puberty blockers for trans kids in the UK has now been made permanent. So that's no good. But I don't think, I don't think I have much energy to put into that today. We might save it. You know what I want Elliot Page to do? A revival of Gaycation? I have no idea what Gaycation is. The movie is called Close to You. Close to You. I won't be able to see it. Too much pain with my own parents. Stay tuned for a review. I will do a review of it on the channel. That's the bridge. That's how I bridge into like a start from talking about trans politics bullshit to talking about media analysis. That's how I get in. Trans movies. Yes. That's how I do it. Oh, yawn. Oh, I'm so tired. Oh, man, I woke up so early today and I didn't even get any rabbits to show for it. I tried hunting rabbits and it didn't work. Hot take, Steve Rogers is a trans man. I mean, I've never really thought about that before. Is there a video essay on this, or do I get to make the video essay? Do I get to make the video essay? The Super Soldier Serum is literally just tea. That would be fun. Gaycation was Elliot's travel show where he just went all over the world and checked out gay villages and other queer hotspots. Fun. Fun. Is there like an established theory? Or is this just a gay fesh hot take about Steve Rogers being a trans man? Is that why I like Captain America so much? He does have like, I am inadequate as a man because I'm too short and skinny and stuff. So maybe. I love Captain America. It's so stupid. Easily my favorite Marvel movie. Just came up with it off the top of my head, but I can't be the first one. Yeah, let me Google it. I want to see. I want to Google. The number one result says the case for a trans Captain America. Steve Rogers is a trans man. I don't say this as an argument. I say this as a truth. From 2016. Look at this. I don't say this as an argument. I say this as a truth. Steve Rogers is trans. That's so funny. The entire process of transition is tinged with magical iconography and imagery. Taking hormones can be seen as a form of communion. Heck, the quote, hormones are magic, is a common half-joking, half-serious remark that you'll see trans people use. Undergoing surgery can be a form of baptism. Fascinating. Age of Ultron is the best Marvel movie. Fight me. Girl, what? No, it's such a bad movie. Super Soldier Serum is gender affirming care confirmed. It helped Steve become who he always knew he was inside. Sure, fair enough. Have any of you seen The Danish Girl? I've heard of The Danish Girl, but I haven't watched it. There's a J-Reg video like, guys, I'm transitioning from masculine into Super Saiyan masculine. I'm 2 times the testosterone now. True. Honestly, yeah, the Joss Whedon in Age of Ultron is just fucking way too much. There's just too much. Far, 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 far too much. It's bad. That's what makes it so good. It's dumb and enjoyable. Okay, fair. Okay, fair. Dude, the performance from fucking what's-his-face makes that movie worth it. Fuck. Fesh, what is his name? It's escaping me right now. The guy who plays Ultron. So good. And then also, Andy Serkis. Andy Serkis in that movie. Love Andy Serkis. Anytime we get Andy Serkis, I'm a fan. when Joss Whedon wrote the line, "That long last is lasting a little long, boys. I swear he must have smelled his fart immediately after." Fucking true. James Spader, yes. His performance is so good. I heard apparently during the filming, like, you know, he would be on set delivering his lines, and then the tennis ball would be up in the air where they're supposed to look at the tennis ball, but his performance was so capturing that the actors kept looking down at him, which would have been approximately crotch level on Ultron. So I think release the crotch cut of Age of Ultron. That's what I want. Release the crotch cut where all the actors are staring at his crotch. Please. Wow, Love and Thunder. Wow. Rip in pieces. I did like Christian Bale's performance in that, but wow, it was not a good movie. Russell Crowe, very funny. Oh, yawn. Oh man, I'm so sleepy. Help me decide, chat, okay? I woke up at 6 a.m. today to go hunting wabbits, and I did not succeed. I didn't even see any wabbits. Today, at 8 p.m., it's gonna still be 90 degrees out. And sunset is at like 9, or is at like 8:45 or almost 9. Should I go hunting tonight? Should I go try to rustle up some wabbits after dinner tonight? That's the question. I would have to shower twice in one day. And also, I think I would have to put on the clothes that I already used this morning, so maybe there's ticks in them. Before Age of Ultron came out, I was arguing with my brother that the MCU has all these actors contracted for this many years, so it is already well known that they don't have the maturity to kill any main cast members. And then the piss poor way they killed Quicksilver, just ew, for the single film he was in. My partner was just watching a fucking YouTube video about how speedsters only die to bad writing. Like, they shouldn't ever die, basically, except that the writers want them to die, so that it's like some stupid writing thing. And Quicksilver was on that list. If you score one tonight, you can sleep in tomorrow. I'm not going to go hunting tomorrow morning because I am going to go to the gym tomorrow morning. I feel like the wabbits would be hiding from the heat. See, that's what I think too. Like, they're not going to enjoy 90 degrees either. The last Marvel thing I watched was Falcon and the Winter Soldier. The last Marvel thing I watched was Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. I haven't watched any of the TV shows. Maybe I will not hunt wabbits tonight. I'll have to wait until next weekend, or like Wednesday maybe, since Wednesday is usually not a gym day for me. I liked Multiverse of Madness. Hey. I enjoyed that. As a Scarlet Witch fangirl. She's a villain. She's always a villain. If they manage to make the MCU good again, I will be so happy, which is why I'm watching all the garbage now. I do tell other people to just stop at Endgame. WandaVision is legitimately good until it remembers it's an MCU project. Yeah, fair enough. I have heard good things about WandaVision. I've heard decent things about Loki. I just don't care. You know? I just stopped caring a while ago. I might have to steal this person's trans Captain America idea. Anyone who still follows the MCU past like phase 4 likes eating nothing but saltines. Listen, it's popcorn, okay? Sometimes you want to turn your brain off and just eat some popcorn. That's what Marvel movies are. They're just popcorn. Not a bad thing, necessarily. It's tasty, it's salty, it's not particularly good for you. It's kind of just filler. Just a quick question. Do we think these articles of impeachment for the Supreme Court are going to go fucking anywhere? Or do we think that that's just kind of more political theater? Excuse me. I use YouTube to turn my brain off. I don't need MCU. I mean, stuff on YouTube only lasts for like 30 minutes. What if I want to sit for an hour and a half and not have to think about what the next video is? Just theater? Yeah, that's my opinion too. Thanks, Aleph not. More theater. I don't think it's gonna make it out of the house. Thank you, Winter V, for the $5 dono. Thank you so much. That does put us at $50 for today's stream, which is half the goal. Very cool to get to halfway to the goal. Thank you, thank you. Scarlet Witch deserved better. Listen, the weirdest thing is the accent. Like, that she started out with like this Russianish accent, and then by the end she did not have an accent except for like really over pronouncing things. Like Elizabeth Olsen, you could have done better with this accent. I guess it was hard to maintain after a while. I don't know. Weird. How do I send money? Link in the description. It should be a link that says like luxander.net/donate or something like that. But yes, that is the preferred way to send money if you want to. I appreciate it. Don't do a super chat. YouTube will steal 30% of your money. I'm about to do that thing where I rewatch a show over and over again, and it's gonna be The Last of Us. How would anyone feel about John Boyega being the next Bond? I would feel positively about that. Yeah, I think I would feel positively about that. I like John Boyega. Catherine Hahn's character in WandaVision actually mocks Wanda's accent. Boy, that really comes and goes, doesn't it? Oh no, that's so sad. I'm from Romania. The Scarlet Witch was the first time seeing a hero on screen from Eastern Europe. I fell in love with her. Yeah, I guess if you know the comics, you know that Scarlet Witch is a villain. But yeah. The last Marvel thing I watched was X-Men Days of Future Past. Oh no. That was such a long time ago. Oh gosh. Oh, this is classic. This picture of this cat in... there's like a cat colony that lives in this ruins in Rome. This is like the Google Street View. Wow, what a unit. What a pretty boy. Wow. Days of Future Past was a great movie, though. I don't think I've ever seen it. Ugh. Yeah, PayPal is the best way. If you don't have PayPal, I will accept a super chat, but just keep in mind that YouTube will take a huge chunk of your money. I've been there. It's really in the middle of the city. Yeah, I would love to go there. Like a cat colony in Rome. Wow. Gorge. Isn't she also Romani? Like the character, is she Romani? I don't actually know. Is Scarlet Witch supposed to be Romani? Oh my god. Oh, I don't need my headphone anymore. Is... Oh yeah, she's Romani. She's Jewish Romani in the comics. That's cool. I think it's time for me to eat lunch, y'all. We've had a good stream, a good long stream, talking about all kinds of important shit. We didn't fuck off for the first 2 hours of the show, which I have a tendency to do sometimes. We got 227 likes on the stream today. She's just vaguely Eastern European in the MCU. Yeah, she's from Sokovia, I think, in that. And Sokovia is like a made-up country because you don't want to implicate any real-world politics. Even though, like, I want to make this final criticism of the MCU specifically. So it's kind of one of the cool things about Marvel is that their events take place like in New York City and like in actual places. And it's one of the things that sucks about DC is that their stuff is happening in these pretend cities like Gotham and I don't know where the fuck does Superman live? Central City or something like that? Metro City? I don't know, I can't remember. Metrocity? No, that's a joke from fucking Megamind. Anyway. But yeah, it's supposed to be one of the cool things about the MCU, or just Marvel, I guess, that their events happen in real-world places, but then they invent a country, Sokovia. Metropolis, okay. I think that it was supposed to be Latveria, but when Age of Ultron was made, Disney hadn't bought Fox yet, so they didn't have the rights to Latveria because that's tied up with Fantastic Four rights. I mean, my criticism is not that it's Sokovia and not Latveria. My criticism is that it is a fake place. Like, it's just a made-up place. Metropolis, Gotham, and Central City. Okay, so Central City is one of them, but that's where fucking... That's where Barry lives. That's where Flash lives. Central City. I think you can easily just have Dr. Doom take control of Sokovia and go, we are turning the country's name to Latveria instead of holding the name of some Soviet general. Yeah, that's fair enough. Okay. I'm sure we can talk about Marvel for forever. Marvel has plenty of made-up places. Genosha, Latveria, the Savage Lands. Okay, I mean, that's fair. Green Arrow is in Star City. Yes, we are nerds, of course. You can always nerd out more in the Discord server if you want to join. There's a link on the website and in the description on YouTube. Okay, I'm gonna go eat some pizza from 2 nights ago. Cold pizza? Oh, God, I love it so much. All right, my dears, I will see you on Wednesday. Okay? Until then, be good, or at least don't get in trouble. Okay? Don't get in trouble. No Fed posting.